recording the podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Recording in progress.
Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don. And if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason, and that's a brand new episode of the Major Issues Podcast, brought to you each and every week by ComicBookClique.com. And as always, I am never alone. Sir, you could please introduce yourself in alphabetical order.
Oh, yo, it's your boy A-Rob the Marvel God. How's everyone doing out there in comic book land?
A-Rob the Marvel God is here and here for a super reason, but he's not alone. Other sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
I am Cal Cushing's Cursed Spanish, Gregory Thomas, aka GT Rebirth.
GT is here as well, and we are here for a super and special occasion. We are here to cover the final season of Superman and Lois, the last remnant of the Arrowverse. The dust has settled. It has cleared. DC is starting brand new. We just covered Creature Commandos last week, which was the first step in a brand new DCU. But before we get
I am
into
the uninitiated. How is that?
I really like it. It was way more gory than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah, same.
And some of the origin stories for the monsters are pretty dark, which I like because this
Right
is
down your alley.
Yeah. Oh, you already know that how I feel about Black Mirror. But past that, I feel like the idea that that kind of depth and darkness can still exist canonically in the same world as Superman, that's always good. But here we're saying goodbye to this Superman in order to say hello to our new one that we'll be getting this summer. Before we get into our full spoilers, I'm gonna ask you first, A-Rob, what's your relationship with this show, and do you think they nailed this final season without spoilers?
I think they nailed it. This was a really complete storytelling of like a Superman that's already did his time in Metropolis, maybe probably was on Justice League for a little bit, or just he did his thing as Superman, and this story really shows it, like, just not just the super heroics of it all, but the family side of it, the love, the care, like what it takes to keep that together. Like it just oh man, I'm thinking of the last episode. It just chokes me. Like, it was just a really good story, a really good Superman story. I encourage everyone to watch it.
Yeah, I agree. GT, me and you have a long history on this show. How do you feel? You're fresh off of the finale. What do you think?
My feelings are that Superman Lois lovingly and gracefully lowered the Arrowverse into its grave in a way that the well-meaning but young and immature Flash never could.
Yeah. This was, and it as someone who started, Comic Book Clique around the height of the Arrowverse, it did feel like we all kind of grew up with these characters, and grew up with these series, and it was apropos for the biggest superhero, right, Superman, to kind of lay this all down to rest. In the world where we've
a guy who for one season was a pair of boots and some text messages.
That's what I'm saying. And when you think of Arrow season 1, that show doesn't look like a show in which a Superman would exist. Like, we were that far, like, no, we're not doing that. We're doing grounded, never, no superpowers. And then by season 3, we got magic. And it's okay, well, what we're doing now, yes. Speed Force, all that stuff gets introduced. And then we get
then
Superman
by season
and Lois.
5, like, no, he was on the island voluntarily, you see.
Yes, right.
The beard was a fake.
Don't you get it? I feel like I didn't want to give this show a shot when I first heard about it, because I didn't know what it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more like weird romance, like I'm on 2 dates kind of, like those sort of sitcom-y kind of situations.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought too. Like, he would like lead like a true dual, like, identity duality to his life.
Yeah,
I think you get one episode of that.
Yeah,
at like the Coney Island thing.
Oh yeah, I think so.
She's like, one day, Clark. He's like, let's eat monster.
Yes. But I applaud them for being able to tell a tremendous, in my opinion, Superman story over the course of 4 years, over the course of budget cuts, over the course of cast changes, over the course of not even knowing whether or not you're in the universe or out of the universe, which I felt like shifted towards the end of season one. People had their preconceived notions about Superman, and I can't help but believe that this show made a lot of people Superman fans. And when we went into this season knowing it was going to be the last, and knowing that the significant budget cuts had happened, they cut the episode amount from 13 to 10. So it was almost like everything was against this season. Like they were working against so many different factors. But I think those challenges forced them to focus on what really mattered, which was the family, which was Clark, which was that identity, which was Smallville, in a lot of ways. And I think that I think it nailed it. I couldn't have asked for a better series finale, a better final season for this show. Now looking back, I think season 2 might be the weakest. I think that Ali Austin stuff might be. I like the Bizarro stuff.
Yeah.
I like the Bizarro world stuff, but like I don't know about Ali. I don't know about what was his name, Armstrong. That dude, the the army dude.
Oh, I don't even remember the army dude's
You know
name.
who I'm talking about, right? The one that
Yeah.
he was a jerk. He was always talking crazy to Superman. I was like, oh man, this guy's pissing me off. But I dug Luthor better in this. I was kind of side eyeing him in season 3. I don't really know what's up with this. Like he's like hard pumping, rocking.
Harley Luthor.
Yeah. He's
He was definitely Sons of Anarchy Luthor.
yeah, and it was I wasn't used to
That
that.
looks like Kerry King from Slayer.
Yeah. I felt more though one of the things that they were able to capture with this character in this season that for me made me forget everything else is just that laser focus on Superman and trying to take him down almost at his own detriment. Like he could live a fine life with all his money and all his power and all his influence, but he just cannot let this alien live his life. And the links.
Although maybe more of a laser focus on Lois Lane, really.
Yeah, which is not that's not usually a thing either. So I like that like she has agency in this because she's not a damsel in distress. If anything, he's like Superman's a damsel in distress to get at Lois. Yeah, to get at Lois, which I think is interesting. If you haven't seen this series, this episode would mean absolutely nothing to you, but I would implore you to go and check out the show. The first 2 seasons, I have reactions up online. I was watching the show and doing my reactions because I just thought it was tremendous. I think the music's great. I think the acting's great. The writing is tremendous as well. And then I sat for the last one.
George has his own 2-season arc with his relationship with Kyle Cushing.
Yeah, I did with the idea that all of my reactions from season 1 are recorded. You literally see me go like this with Kyle. I hate Kyle. I guess Kyle's all right. I can't stand him. Yeah, I guess he's fine because he was going through a lot. He was going through a lot there. At the end of this, I'm just like I ingested the entire wedding episode of this season, and ultimately, it's nothing. The summary would be they went to get married and then they decided not to. That's what the summary of that episode is.
Yeah.
So it's like you get things like that sometimes thrown in where I'm just like, get back to the lasers. But aside from that, I think everyone knocked it out of the park. And if you guys are ready, we can get into our full recap and review of the final season of Superman and Lois, obviously stopping at the important parts to chat about what's going on. Are you gentlemen ready for that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Go. The 4th and final season of Superman and Lois premiered on the CW based on DC Comics characters created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. The season was produced by Berlanti Productions and Warner Brothers Television. Tyler Hoechlin and Elizabeth Tulik star as Clark Kent, Superman, and Lois Lane respectively, with returning cast members Alex Garfin, Michael Bishop, Dylan Walsh, Indy Navarrete, Emmanuel Creaky, I hope I'm missing, Wole Park, Taylor Buck, Eric Valdez, Sophia Hasmick, Michael Cutlass, and Chad L. Coleman. Cutlass and Coleman, they know each other from Walking Dead. That's Tyrese and Abraham.
I know Coleman was in that show, yeah.
Abraham is Cutlass.
Mm,
The only redhead,
okay.
the only redhead in the group, the Seamus looking dude. The show was renewed for its final season in June of 2023, which premiered on October 7th of 2024, and the entire series concluded on December 2nd of 2024. When we last left off in the last season, uh, Doomsday, which was created basically by repeatedly killing Bizarro, injecting him with all kinds of serums, and then we kind of got this monstrous version of Doomsday, and we were kind of left with a cliffhanger because those two had seemingly fought and went all the way into space for their conflict. So when the series starts off, we pick back up with the battle between Superman and Doomsday, and it escalates all the way into space, with Doomsday evolving and relentlessly pursuing Superman. Despite Superman's best efforts, including using his remaining energy for an intense solar flare, all the damage done in this battle is fatal. Superman's lifeless body drifts through space, and the world is left without its heroes. As the brothers argue over whether Clark is truly dead, Lois struggles to keep her family together, and Smallville braces for a future without Superman. I feel like this was basically the mission statement of this show. Like, this was told to us in interviews, through posters, that this was going to start us up, start off and set us up for the death of Superman arc. I was sadder when he died than when Cavill died. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that for free. But ultimately, like, there were no real tears because this is episode 1 of Superman and Lois. And although Superman is dead, I something told me it wouldn't be for long.
It's gonna last the whole season, y'all.
Yeah, but GT, what do you think about this death scene here, with old Superman and this fight with Doomsday?
I enjoyed it. It was just, kudos to the the work and the nuts it takes to attempt to do as much Doomsday as you can on a budget. There were choices you could have made to cheapen the entire situation. Like we've all seen what the Flash would do with shots of Grodd, where like there's not much of him in the shot,
Yeah,
so you don't have to animate him, and like you can kind of see giant, gorilla shoulder muscle, but like
yeah.
like there were ways to cheapen the experience and and shave some cash off of these, but like they do their best to just give you Superman fighting a 7-foot massive rock monster.
Yeah, they no real tips or tricks. I mean, obviously their budget was slashed for this, so Doomsday is, sprinkled throughout the season as instead of being like a constant present threat. But I think in
And when
doing
they can
so,
get away with him just standing still, they do.
yeah, I think of some of those like bad shots from the tail end of the Flash, like some of those like that girl, then she got super big using the strength force stuff, and I'm just like, that's.
Oh, you're better than me. I didn't make it that far.
Well, it happens. It happens. But what do you think of the fight, A Rob? What do you, as a Marvel god, what do you think of this very timeless fight between Superman and Doomsday, tale as old as time?
I do appreciate them picking up right off where it left off in season 3, because like a lot of shows would just leave it at that, have a time skip, this, that, and the third. But it really showed I don't want to say the gravitas, but like like this is the bar right here. Superman's death. We can only go up from here. Like and it just raised so many questions for me. Like, oh my god, he's dead. He got his heart ripped out. Like, what are they
Yes.
gonna do? How are they gonna bring him back? Is he gonna get the black suit? Like, I had so many questions because I'm like, that's where the good Superman writing is. Like, when it's not a challenge, like he can't just punch his way out of. Like, that's
Right.
really where the good Superman writing is where it's at. And this season nailed it, like completely.
This is the all is lost moment in the beginning of the show. Like, this is how it starts. So we have
Yeah.
to start from the ground up, building a lot of this momentum. And to be honest, as Superman's just sitting there float, like watching the Man of Steel sit there float lifeless through space, I just had to end up having one thought. I know that feeling. Giving your absolute all and then having no energy to continue. It's the constant in the world of content creation. And I used to think that the only way to combat that sort of thing was to drink coffee, which meant dealing with the crappy side effects that come with it until I started to consider real change. I heard about the concept of treating your mental health like mental wealth, which just means creating careful habits about what you eat, how you sleep, what supplements and vitamins you take. No XK. Everything that you do every day in an attempt to invest more into healthy practices. This allows you to then cash in on your good habits with cleaner ways to get the kind of energy that you really need. By the way, did you know that caffeine doesn't even really give you energy? It actually blocks the brain's fatigue signals, tricking you into feeling awake. But once those signals break through, usually after 1 or 3 hours, you're hit with that caffeine crash, and you're floating through. But that's where the guys over at Magic Mind come in. Unlike your average pick me up, Magic Mind is packed with 12 powerful science backed ingredients designed to fuel your body's natural energy system, ATP, for sustained performance. It's not just about feeling good for now, it's about setting yourself up for a better, brighter tomorrow. True justice, and I was going to say the American way, but he doesn't do that anymore. This this isn't some trendy gimmick. Magic Mind's formula was carefully crafted over 10 years with input from leading doctors and researchers, undergoing countless iterations to ensure it delivers real results. They don't stop there. They give back by donating 5 cents from every bottle sold to mental health charities supporting the homeless in the US. Since I started using their focus shots, I've experienced sharper mental clarity without the jitters or crashes I used to get from coffee. And their sleep aid shots, they've been a game changer, helping me drift off as effortlessly as if I was being sung a Kryptonian lullaby. With this newfound balance in life, I feel ready to take on the world so long as you're not doomsday. And I want our fans out there to experience that same kind of energy. And what's awesome is for first time buyers, Magic Mind is offering an exclusive bundle of their focus and sleep shots at 45% off. You just got to use our special link, magicmind.com/cbookjan. C as in comic, book as in book, and Jan as in January to grab the deal. No, you're not living in Bizarro World. It is 45% off that bundle with our link, magicmind.com/cbookjan. You could actually look in the description of this episode for the actual link. Get over there, get yourself some Magic Mind. If you're ready to elevate your energy, boost your mood, and rediscover your spark, you feel like Doomsday ripped your heart out of your chest, give Magic Mind a try. Because, after all, a mind, magic or not, is a terrible thing. But as we head back to the very somber Smallville, in his ongoing vendetta against Lois, who he blames for his imprisonment, Lex Luthor kidnaps the synapses. He kidnaps Lois Lane's father, Sam Lane. As you guys know what's going to happen in this episode with Mr. Lane. I really look back, he is one of the MVPs of this show. I really think that he's a great actor. I think he does a tremendous job being Lois's father. All that pumpkin talk. Even with his crazy daughter in the cult. The other what's her name?
Yeah.
You see what happens? You see Jenna Dewan.
Yeah, no, yeah, right. Wait, they brought Jen DeWan back for this, didn't they?
Not for the season, I don't believe.
No, I mean for that run, like they.
Yeah, she was in Ali Olstein's cult.
Yeah.
And then
even though she's not the same.
Oh, we're about to meet a whole new Jimmy Olsen in this.
That's also a thing that happens.
She was on Supergirl. Lucy Lane on Supergirl. Lucy Lane was dating Jimmy Olsen, and then Ara got all jealous and wanted to get all up in that swirl, and then they eventually break up, and she goes back to seemingly Metropolis or Smallville, and on the show. But yeah, I really like Sam Lane. I like the actor. I like how he portrays his character, and this episode was basically a Sam Lane centric episode. Even though he was in prison, Jordan ends up saving Sam, who is shocked to learn that Superman died while he was being captured. Meanwhile, Lex becomes consumed with revenge, neglecting his company to stay in Smallville, where he continues to taunt Lois and her children. Doomsday arrives in the town square, drops off Clark's body, and he leaves. What was that about? Because later we know that he goes over to give the heart to Luthor. He should have just gave the whole body to Luthor. But I guess this is like a Like again, like you guys were just saying, he's taunting Lois. You know, he's like, this is what you
Yeah.
wanted. Here he is, sans heart. But in this dark moment, her children offer her comfort. The realization that Superman won't return crushes their spirits, and Smallville grapples with Superman's connection to Lois in Smallville. People are starting to wonder, like, why did they bring Superman to Lois? And why is Lois crying over Superman? What's their connection there? So people are starting to get suspicious. Jordan is asked to take Clark's body to the Fortress of Solitude, hoping Kryptonian technology might offer a solution, but there's no cure without a heart. And without one, Clark is gone. Meanwhile, Lex keeps Superman's heart in a special case as a twisted trophy.
I thought it was all right that they made that clear. It's like we can't just make new things.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this whole season is about take it to the fortress.
Yeah.
and see if they can fix it. And the mom's like, what? No, what is this? How am I supposed to know?
What do you think I am?
Yeah, really. She thought they were treating her like Chad GPT. Like, I can't just make shit up. What do you want me to do
You
here?
can't just make a heart. I can fix it what he had, but
Fix this. There is no heart.
like, you
Ever.
want me to 3D print up a working heart with.
Yeah, you should get like one of those notifications like when you take your SIM card out. Like, heart is removed. Please please put heart back and I will be able to fix.
It's like Superman is just a big blue screen.
Yeah, right. Jordan tries to step up in his father's absence, but his secret is exposed, and Luthor learns that he is Lois's son. The kids attempt to steal Superman's heart from Lex, but he stops them, and they end up having to admit that it's gone for good when he stomps Superman's heart out in front of Jordan. Damn you, Jordan. What's going on there?
Jordan's really bad at this secret thing.
He's kind of bad this season, Jordan. I feel like he does nothing he could do. He can't get right. I don't know what's going on. I wanted to ask you, Rob, are you at all? Is any of your suspension of disbelief watching this kind of messed with the new Jonathan Kent?
Wait, what do you mean?
You having
Sorry.
any? Are you having
The
any?
recast.
Yeah, are you having any sort of?
I appreciate.
issue?
I didn't care because, like, just actors get replaced. It's all about if they can portray this character. Can they bring this character to life?
Yeah.
Like at first when they recast it, I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, I don't like this, but this season he grew on me like entirely. Like I loved him.
Yeah.
John, you can stay, John. Like I like he really grew on me. He really truly did. Nothing against the old one, but this one, I like this one.
there may be a world where the old version of John Kent doesn't care, but I want to picture that there's a world where he watches the episode where John Kent gets powers and it's like, what? What? They didn't tell me that was gonna happen. They didn't tell me that was gonna happen.
I hated the other John's face.
Yeah, you were all constantly annoyed with. He's
It
very
just had this smugness to it.
smarmy looking. Yeah,
He did. That's funny.
it happens. Lois reassures them. She tells them that she values their efforts in trying to get the heart back because it came from a place of hope, but the heart gone, hope is lost. Meanwhile, Mayor Lang refuses to let Smallville fall under Luthor's influence, aiming to push him out without causing harm. And what I like about this is she's like, ain't no Morgan ad shit happening here no more. We already done with that. Ain't happening again. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. You're learning. The Kent family visits the Fortress of Solitude to say their last goodbyes. But to their surprise, Clark left them a cameo, a hologram of his consciousness to comfort them in this painful time. Eventually, they hold a private funeral for Clark on the farm. That's pretty matter of fact there.
Clark did not get those text messages from Supergirl about how the holographic parent is probably not good for your mental health.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because Lois is not. I mean, she's happy to see him again, but it's heartbreaking, dealing with it in this instance. Everyone's trying to deal and learn how to cope in a world without Superman, but one of those people is General Sam Lane, who struggles to cope in a world without Superman. He ends up pleading for the Irons, old Nat and John Henry, to join the DoD in his absence, in Superman's absence. They eventually agree, adopting the code names Steel and Starlight, even though I feel like I've been calling his ass Steel. I mean, I've obviously been calling him Steel. Has he not been called Steel this entire time?
No, I don't think they ever have.
Interesting. There's always John Henry in both names, right? Because
Yeah.
they already have a John, so they have to say John Henry every time they mean John Henry. Okay, that's interesting. Sam is tormented by Lois's grief, recalling how reluctant he was to approve her marriage to Clark, despite his deep love for her. Before their wedding, he eventually gave his blessing and acknowledging how much Clark loved Lois. Lois writes an article confirming Superman's death, which enrages Jonathan, who is still in denial. A confrontation with Jordan triggers Jonathan's dormant superpowers, which he quickly masters, leaving Jordan frustrated as no longer the only superpowered son of Clark. What do you guys think of this moment? I guess I'll talk first, but I did not think Jonathan was ever getting powers. I guess it was in its instance of like, I think it was worth it for the final shot, the Superman family kind of flying through. I think that was pretty cool, but I don't know if I would have dug it if this show had another season. I don't know if I want to. The Wonder Twin thing is not my bag, but
I was a fan of it simply because they established that that John was the first one to show signs,
right,
and then his went dormant,
yeah,
and then it became about Jordan.
right.
So it's like you have established, the Schrodinger's gun of it all.
Hey, you see, Jonathan, you didn't have to smoke crack like you did in season 2 to get Superman powers. You could have just waited.
You just needed an emotionally resonant experience.
Yes, 100%. Instead of dealing, because she was dealing with his drug dealer girlfriend at the time, which there was a lot.
Right.
All that will come back very soon to bite everyone in the ass.
Basically, John's problem throughout the entire show is that he's an emotionally unavailable douchebag, so it wouldn't work.
Right. And I'll never forget that we had a Superman show that had a subplot where his son was dating a drug dealer and didn't want to snitch. He was like, nah, never. Remember, Lois was like, boy, if you go to jail for this, he was like, boy, you better. He was like, nah. Oh, no snitching.
Lois was about to fold up some newspaper and just start wagging it around.
Yeah, right? Hey, Rob, what'd you think about the other brother getting power?
I liked it because it was very reminiscent of the comics almost.
Yeah.
Like, and it kind of makes sense. Like, them Kryptonian genes are strong. You proliferate a bunch of kids, more than likely they will be half of you. So they will get powers. Now the grandkids, they're a bunch of quarters. Cause like, spoiler alert for the end, they have a John and Jordan. They both have like what 4 kids apiece. So there's 8 quarter Kryptonians.
They have a litter. Yeah, we don't know how that works, right? Because what is it in Dragon Ball Z? You get less powerful the more you, like, Gohan's half.
Well,
his kid is a quarter.
But the kids turn Super Saiyan as freaking adolescents.
Oh yeah, they just have it built into them kind of way.
They get stronger as like the bloodline gets diluted, because then their potential just skyrockets because there's less of that Saiyan in them.
Am I remembering correctly? Was it Future State that dealt with like the far descendants of Superman in the future, House of L?
Yeah.
I believe that's what that was. But it was the idea that if he's gonna live for a very long time, odds are he's gonna have offspring that end up living for a very long time and then inherit the Earth. That's kind of interesting. Tensions rise when Lex manipulates Jordan into thinking Lois favors Jonathan after a life or death decision. Jordan confronts Lois, who explains her choice was based on Jonathan's vulnerability, as he had not yet discovered his powers. This felt like a nothing burger. This felt like, come on, bro. And I feel like even Lois was like, it's Lex Luthor. Like, of course he told you that. And he told you that to make you turn. But Jordan is an incredibly emotional child. The one strike I'll give against this series is they completely dropped the like neurodivergent plot point from Jordan. That is
So
gone.
yeah.
That is gone. Season
this
one
was
was
a
almost all about like how he was neurally divergent and he couldn't really handle his issues. Like in the finale of that, Lois has to go into his mind and kind of like talk him out of all the stuff that Hal Rose trying to do stuff. And there's moments where we see him like having emotional reactions and they have to hold him and rock with him and stuff. I thought it would have been really cool to deal with someone having those hangups and superpowers, but they were like, it's just much easier if we just don't do any of the mental health stuff and
well.
we
So
just do the
remember, like
superpower stuff.
we had this discussion about season one, and it felt like a decent bit. Only almost halfway into season one, somebody decided, okay, wait, we can't have the depressed neurodivergent teen and the attempted suicide girl. We need to pick a problem here,
Yeah.
and we stuck with attempted suicide girl, who then over the course of the show just became less likable because she just made stupid decisions.
She was being very selfish. And I don't think she has an arc in this season.
No, she has a write off.
They effectively like, oh yeah, she works at the diner now. If you want to see Sarah, she's at the diner. We'll go to the diner.
Even better than that. Like she works at the diner, so we can explain what she is doing. Now we have to explain why you won't see her for the second half of the show. She went to Greece.
Yeah. She went
Was
on
it
a
Greece?
she went on a Euro trip. I know she went to Europe. Yeah, she went
Was
to
it
Europe
Paris?
because then she came back.
Yeah.
She was like, "Why are you still in here in Smallville?" I'm like, "Yo, relax. Why are you always bothering my boy Jordan for, man? Breaking my heart."
Like I guess when he got the Kryptonian powers, it was like they just magically made all those problems go away for him mentally.
as you
Maybe I don't
as you
know.
know, and then it just inspires those actually dealing with those disorders to watch the show and realize they need Kryptonian powers if they want to overcome their lot in life. But A-Rod, what do you
But that
think
also
of?
once those things go away, you just kind of become annoying.
Yes, you do. Very annoying. A-Rod, what do you think of Jordan's reaction to finding out that in a life or death decision, his mom chose Jonathan?
Oh, you told me?
Yeah.
Oh. Once again, unstable teen. Like you have to read the room, Jordan. You have to understand. Like your brother at the time didn't have powers, and you do. So
He was a
obviously, if
filthy
you're going for
normie.
in danger, she's gonna choose the one that can't protect himself as well.
It seemed easy to me, but I'm always on Lewis's side. I love Bitsy Tulik in this role. And I love she's like, look, like with everything going on, when Jordan shows up with that, she's like, what are you doing? Like, you're not helping the team at all, bro. Like, we're all over here, and then you come tap my shoulder because you got beef. We're not even dealing with that right now. So I thought that was really funny. Lex seizes the opportunity to manipulate a DOD agent who holds Sam at gunpoint and demands information about Luther's estranged daughter Elizabeth. Sam refuses and in the struggle is fatally shot. With Doomsday approaching, Sam injects himself with a super serum containing kryptonite, XK, and Superman's blood. And he gives John Henry some instructions that we are not made privy to. I thought it was going to get like a Doomsday fight here.
Yeah, I was thinking we were doing the Hulk abomination thing.
Right. And so with the way that this ends, I was like, well, that was very matter of fact because the Irons get into the fight with Doomsday, but dozens of attempts to stop the monster fail. And Sam ends up standing up to it defiant, and it just cracks his neck. It just like cracks his neck, his head, or whatever in a second and kills him and then just walks away. And Lois just collapses because she lost another man in her life. It's been like a week or so,
Yeah.
2 weeks. Now she lost her husband and she's lost her father.
Credit to Bitsy Tulloch, who basically just had to step up and be the lead of the show for a little bit.
I'm telling you, man, she got some skills, and she really, like, this entire season is her crying. And last season, the entire season was her crying because she was diagnosed with cancer. So it's like,
Yeah.
It's been a rough for that whole family, but I think that makes all these moments earned as we continue this series, as characters start to step up. Everyone but Chrissy, but we'll we'll go to John Henry honors Sam's final wish, taking his body to the fortress. We end up getting a recorded hologram that reveals Sam's sacrifice. He donated his heart to Clark to resurrect him. The serum actually made his heart more compatible because it had Superman's blood in it. The Kent and Iron families hold a memorial for Sam, while Clark, revived in the fortress, finally returns to Lois in a bittersweet. They really do a good job, like bookending that, right? It's like he's expositing what the process is and how he hopes it might work, and then you see Superman's eyes open, and they're literally like finishing the funeral, like they're about to like go back into the house, and then Clark just lands, and the emotions and all of that just come sweeping in, and the family sees him back alive, and I'm just like, those are my people. I also, and I say it every season, but this show has amazing music. I think a lot of the Arrowverse is carried by its music. I really got into the
Yeah.
Flash for those reasons. I loved all the renditions of the same. But if it was like a slower thing, it was like ding, ding. Like it was the same motif, but changed for different vibes. And this show has like, I don't know, 4 songs. What's the theme song of this? It's not much of a song. It's
It's
just
not, but like
Just
you,
That's
it's
it.
one of those things where it's like it is so faithful to its musical motifs that like you know the sound when you hear it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to say it's the first song on their on the soundtrack for this.
Soundtrack?
Yeah, on the soundtrack for Superman and Lois, but it's obviously the very last of it, right? Like it goes through
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff, and then it gets to the end, and that's what they clip for this. But all the other stuff, all the really
There's a.
yeah, go ahead, brother.
I was gonna say there's like the it was the same for the freaking Arrow theme song. Like it takes you a good 2 minutes to get to dun 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 dun.
Yeah. I really like how that theme builds, though. I really like how that.
Yeah.
Clark
And Flash is
returns.
all over the place.
Oh yeah. He's running home to you. Clark returns home to Smallville, embraced by his family, though the townspeople are unaware that Superman is alive. With his return, while his return is a joyous occasion, he is not at full strength. His new heart, once belonging to a 60-year-old military general, has damaged his powers, dampened his powers, and made him more vulnerable. This becomes apparent when he tries to train Jonathan and ends up passing out. Family is worried that if Lex discovers Superman is alive, he'll unleash Doomsday again, and Clark might not survive this time. All valid stuff. And his scar hasn't healed. Like the biggest, like, ooh, like, But what if Frankenstein? I figure you would ask way more questions like immediately after it's over, right? Like right after it's over, it's like, can we get a physical going now? And they figure out all this stuff later on. I'm surprised. I guess I'm surprised at how, like, no questions asked, they were post his revival. They were like, oh yeah, he's just back. Like, there's
Right.
no.
It's like, well, that was the writing. They had to all discover all the issues, problems, and how to overcome said challenges.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess at some like to some degree you don't. I think you start questioning the Superman of it all after a few years.
Yeah. That's fair. Gretchen, one of Lex's hench people, I think that's what the nomenclature is, considers turning on him. So Lex sends someone to kill her. Just in time, Clark returns as Superman for the first time since his quote-unquote death, and news of his return spreads worldwide. Chrissy and Kyle plan to get married, but Chrissy backs out, realizing she's not ready. The wedding turns into a celebration among friends instead.
Did you see?
Those are my notes. Those are my notes for that.
Did you see the fun they had with the text notifications?
No. I should also say that while these notifications are alerting us that the knowledge of Superman's, revival is worldwide, it's also being shown to us because Lois and Clark are actively avoiding it because they're about to go to Pound Town. I think I should also say that as well.
Yes.
So our Superman, this Superman gets down. I don't know if there's even confirmation of the other ones. I know Henry Cavill got into a bathtub.
No, well remember, season three has a whole mini arc about how they they haven't gotten down in a while because Lois's libido is low because of the cancer treatments.
Yeah. See,
And then one day they finally just get back to getting down.
before this season, before this was a show, she and him went to go to that planet, remember? So they could do stuff and have the baby.
So they could have the baby, yeah.
Yeah. So
Which is not a thing that happens on this planet.
these two have been getting it. I just love it because they're clean, but they're also freaks in the sheets, and that's also a very important thing to go. In small town Smallville, you got to keep the fire stoked.
Yeah,
and they do a good job at that.
It's cute because the text messages, the notifications on the cell phone, all plays on old Superman titles.
Like what?
So they're all it's all like newspaper article or news articles or like news reels. And one newsreel is like Superman Returns, something Man of Steel, and my favorite, Superman Lives.
I was about to say the death of Superman Lives, though. Yeah, they're having a bunch of they're having a blast there. Do you guys have anything to say about the Kyle and Chrissy of it all?
No.
That storyline just doesn't hit for me. But Chrissy's, I've never been a huge fan of her anyway because she just seems to be there to like argue with Lois a lot of the time about whatever Lois is doing. And
it's sort of the fact that like when Lois is doing the newspaper reporting thing, she needs a sounding board and nobody else works there.
But again, because of how I feel,
she's a good counterpoint to Lois.
But because of how I feel about Lois, I'm like, she could do no wrong. So why are you talking to her? Like, why are you yelling at her? Yes, she broke the law. Yes, she stole that helicopter. Yes, she wasn't supposed to be interviewing that man in prison. But that's Lois damn Lane. That's how I feel.
The problem is, Chrissy Bethel just represents the person in the way for you.
She is Skylar White in this show for me. You understand? Like, let Walter do what he got to do. Yes, it's illegal. You know what I'm saying? But we ain't talking about that right now.
Let Walter commit his crimes and his defendants.
That's it. His illegal crimes. But we get a little bit more about
that's redundant.
Yeah, right. Illegal crimes. We also learn a little bit more about Lex's past. 17 years ago, his wife divorced him, tired of his cold demeanor, resulting from years of abuse by his mother. His daughter Elizabeth, Liz Luthor? Is this what they were going for here? I'm like, when they say his daughter, I was like, oh, they're doing Lena? And no, they were doing Liz.
No. We are not reopening that can.
No, we are doing Liz Luthor. We find out that his daughter Elizabeth grew fearful of him after witnessing the arguments between her parents, but eventually chose to stay with Lex over her mother, a decision that disappointed her. Lex's arrest, thanks to Lois Lane, eventually drove a wedge between him and Elizabeth. The Superman's return news spread globally. Clark, as Superman, tries to convince Lex to move past his revenge plot, but Lex refused. What was the moment?
George,
well, yes.
I want to say, did you recognize Elizabeth Luthor?
I did not. Am I supposed to?
Elizabeth Luthor is played by Elizabeth Henstridge, mostly known for her long-standing run on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as Gemma Simmons.
She went over to the dark side. What's she doing over there in DC? I guess she knew it was she's trying to get a job with James Gunn is what it is. So
he also directs multiple episodes of Superman Lois.
What did you? Is there any point in this where you're off the Lex train? Like you're off the like you're thinking similar to Lois and Superman? Like let it go, bro. Or did you kind of get?
Oh yeah.
Or did you kind of get the axe that he was grinding the entire time?
No, I'm like, dude, you're one of the richest people on the planet next to the Waynes, and like, dude, let it go. Like, there's no way to give up all that for a petty vendetta, and you're guilty anyway. Like, so why go? Like, this was a pure crash out. This was crashing out at its finest.
Yeah, this was a season of Lex crashing out. I could see that. What do you sit on it, GT?
I don't. Like I say, like I understood that the character is reflecting somebody who not only like is not quick to take responsibility for his own issues, but like is so narcissistic that he sees the daughter as an extension of himself.
Yeah.
And thusly Lois taking that from him is the biggest sin you could commit.
is bigger than him even trying to relinquish or even trying to reconcile stuff with his daughter. The fact that she could be
Yeah.
a pawn in this game with Lois means,
The fact that anyone could take from him and go unpunished.
Yeah.
The way, assumedly, his mother did.
Pride cometh before
Yeah.
the fall. Makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. Realizing Doomsday could be released at any moment, Lois uses DoD intel to track down Elizabeth in France, and she's pregnant. After some convincing, Elizabeth agrees to go to Smallville to confront her father. When father and daughter reunite, they catch up, but they are unable to repair their relationship due to Lex's refusal to take responsibility for his actions.
I do love that they had to make the wife evidently British so that Elizabeth does not have to change her accent at all.
Yes.
Right,
yes.
we talked about that. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't know a Lex that's married. I've never really read a Lex that had a wife. That was interesting. That he had a family to threaten to, coerce.
Now that I think about it, yeah, that's probably true.
I don't have no history, but it's interesting. I'm gonna put him above the Titans Lex, even though I've never even seen the Titans, the Titans version of Lex Luthor. But I'm not sure if I'm ready to put him over John Cryer yet.
I'm not.
Already? You know that?
No. John Cryer is just too charismatic in that role.
I give him extra points for putting off the beard.
That works too. That works too.
He gets points for that because I'm like, without the beard, bro, you just look like a comedy actor. You get that beard on, you get that scowl going, that bald head. Really, really works.
Yeah, I think he was also able to pull off the the hyper intelligent, smug, fast talk.
Yeah, and
John Cryer could just run those lines.
That when he does it from a place of arrogance and confidence. And I don't know if I got that from this Luthor. He seemed more angry than he did a step above. Even when he was a step above, he was still incredibly angry.
There's going for the quiet rage, who's just a guy who's uncomfortable with any situation he is not utterly in control of.
Right.
They portrayed that, especially during that interview. He's like, "Shut her down. There's too many variables." I'm like, "Yo, you are a control freak.
Right.
Hold on."
Right. And he got a freak right there. He got a freak right there taking care of his shit. And he still can't just be like, you know what? You're right, girl. Let's go home. Go home. You know what I'm saying? None of that. Okay, so yep. So what I love about this is that they're like, oh, we're gonna use you to talk to your dad, and then she talks to her dad, and her dad, he's like, I miss you too, I love you too. Hey, you should stop that Lois thing. I'll never stop that Lois thing. And then she's like, okay, fine, then I'm out of your life, and she leaves. And then Clark's like, I think you should try to talk to your dad. Hey dad, hey daughter, I love you too. Hey, you should stop that Lois thing. I'm never stopping that Lois thing again. And then she's like, you know what? I'm done. I'm off this. I gave it 2 chances in the same day. And that's all you can talk about is Lois. You can't stop this whole murder boner you got going on. So I am ready to cut ties for good. And she does. Meanwhile, the Kent boys start hearing rumors that more people are becoming suspicious of their family's connection to Superman. In a final effort, Lois goes to a secluded location and uses Sam's tracker to summon Doomsday. The monster hesitates, recognizing Lois as someone he once loved because, deep down, Bizarro still exists somewhere in this monster.
Yeah.
So Doomsday chooses to leave Earth with no intention of returning. In a clear juxtaposition, the monster has shown humanity in this moment, but Lex, after losing his daughter for good, starts to become a little bit more of a monster himself. This moment and the last moment. Yeah, this moment and the last moment, I'm like, Doomsday is so over it. He's so over all of this shit. And when you think of how he was made over and over, and that's the kind of feeling you should kind of even have for the OG Doomsday. Because it's the same thing. That's his entire life is death and fighting and death and murder and death and over and over and over again. Getting into this Doomsday's head, that was something brave of Lois. I mean, she could have got like her dad did, which was like in seconds, right? Like, and then it's a wrap. But she used her wild womanly ways, manages to get to appeal to his more a human side. You buy
Right,
that?
sun's getting real low.
Yeah,
Sun's getting real low.
you guys buy that though? You think they effectively take that out?
Yeah,
I thought it was fine. I bought the idea that like uh there's some shred of Bizarro Superman still in there.
Yeah. Sorrow soup.
Credit to the show to sort of like slyly bake a 2-season Doomsday arc without ever selling it as such.
Yes, and then like the hat trick, right? Is you got that 2-act Doomsday thing, but then you also have like the hint of Doomsday when they first reveal Bizarro, when they do the containment suit
With the
and he
containment,
shows up.
yep.
Yeah. So you're like, they tease you, and you're like, oh,
It's like, oh, they're doing Doomsday. Oh, they're not doing
I
Doomsday.
guess
They
they're
were doing
not.
it the whole
Yeah,
time.
I guess they're not. Oh, it's back. Oh, it's both. What's going on here? Really, really smart stuff. With his daughter out of the picture, Lex becomes even more fixated on his vendetta against the Kents. He attempts to buy land from Smallvillian A.D. Manning for new headquarters, but after Clark and Lana warn her that it's a power play, Manning refuses to sell. The town rallies behind Manning when Lex intensifies his threats. I don't know where I was in the world. I got a little choked up here. I got a little choked up with small town Smallville standing up to Lex in that bar and being like, we're not to be sold. Because I was like, Superman's rubbing off. You know what I'm saying? Like this is what this character is supposed to be. It's not only what he does, but the effect he has on other people. And these people are not only standing up for their town, but some of them know that Clark is Superman. And thus in standing up for their town, they're standing up for Clark, ultimately standing up for Superman as well. So I don't know why. That really affected me when she's like, I'm not selling, and Lana don't want no crap.
Yeah.
I half expect her to have a pistol on her hip at all times. She's like a sheriff more than a mayor. Like, she just comes in talking all crazy. And what do you guys think of Lana and Steel?
I like it. They deserve happiness. They've been through so much, and John needs to get over the fact, I think he did get over it. That this universe's Lois isn't his Lois.
It's got to be hard to see that
he needs
face,
to move
though.
on.
It's got to be hard to see that face.
I was gonna say which is exactly like that's exactly what John Henry needs, a distraction.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
He does. And I mean,
for a moment there, I was just like, yeah, they gonna like. I was like, look at those two. They're gonna go off and make some lovely like Blasian babies. I was just like, wait, this Lana isn't completely Asian.
Right. I
too used to that.
I dig them as a couple. Like you said, John Henry definitely needs it, and I feel like Lana upgraded. To be honest, I feel like Lana upgraded. Kyle, I don't know. I don't know what Kyle's doing. I don't know what Kyle's doing over there, but I feel like Lana upgraded. I really just like that power play there that happened. Smallville was always a recurring character on this show, and this moment kind of solidifies that they're on the same page with Superman and Clark. Meanwhile, Clark is aging more rapidly, getting gray hairs, which worries him, fearing that showing signs of aging might cause people to lose faith in Superman. But there's no time to dwell on that as Lex orchestrates an assassination attempt on Lana. When Clark tries to intervene, he falls right into Lex's trap in the town square as Lex activates lights mimicking a red sun, draining Clark of his powers.
When does he have time to do this?
I don't know. And it's not a thing of like, it's a red light. Like, these are particular, like the energy that the bulbs have to emit. Like, are these things you could just find at a Home Depot and just plug into the street lights or whatever? But we're supposed to be led to believe that he's always one step at a time, but part of what keeps getting him in trouble is his unbridled...
When did you get the time to install the entire town with the radiation emitting, like, what?
And when did you test it? He never tested it. That was like the first... That's why he was so happy that it worked. That was the first time he fucking pressed the button. But it just becomes bum fights, and these two are now in the streets. They're on the streets and they engage in a brutal bout of fisticuffs. And It starts to look a little bit weird for Clark because he doesn't have his powers, but his rage kind of overcomes and nearly drives him to kill Lex. He beats the brakes off of Mr. Luthor, and he stops short of killing him, and warns Lex to leave his family alone. I'm like, I always like when Superman gets stern because he's so happy, so lucky in this show. He's
Yeah.
so, small town. He's so polite, and whenever he just tunes it up, and I think that's a perfect use of that character, like the perfect use of that characterization. Like we learned this in professional wrestling, but it's the idea that if you save the moves for big events, then they get bigger reaction. Do the moves
They
all the
mean
time.
more.
Yeah, they mean
And
more.
people recognize that you dug into something.
Yeah. What is it? The bat is dead, kill it doesn't ring because he's always been mad and mean and,
Yeah.
and running around with a scowl on his face. So when he says it in that moment, you're not like, oh wow, Superman really means it. It's just like, oh, he's just another day in the office. But I think of, because it's gonna come back around, I think of when he beat up
Luthor?
Candace's dad.
Oh, yes.
Last season when Candace's dad shows up and he had been brandishing a gun in front of Lois and all this other kind of crazy shit. He tries to get in Clark's face and Clark like Kung Fu pandas his ass and then embarrasses him and takes him out. And I'm like,
Judo chop.
yeah. And he's like, get away from my bro. Your side.
I also like this is one of those things where it obviously looks like he's not unhinged, but like it obviously looks like Clark has lost his cool relative to his usual demeanor.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know that if he wanted to, his yelling would take out the whole town.
That's true. And also, we know that he has a boomer's heart, which means he has rage to fuel him in ways.
This was a rare opportunity for him to cut loose. Oh, I have powers? That means I can full on punch you without killing you? Oh, bet. We're gonna take opportunity. We're gonna take this opportunity.
Years of Sam Lane's, all that frustration the Boomer has is all trapped in the heart of young Clark Kent, and he wailed on him.
I do think it was an interesting choice to actually have like badass Luthor still lose this fight with a depowered Superman.
Yeah, but I guess, and I was thinking the same thing. The only thing that I can gather is that this was all supposed to be the ploy of him showing footage then on Godfrey.
Right.
Of being like, oh, look, I tried to fight him back, but he beat the hell out
He
of me.
overpowered me.
Yeah. Which again, if you're going to that length, like where you're allowing him to come, be weakened, and then let him go, I feel like you're not thinking this through because you could have just stopped everything from this moment, and then you don't have to worry about anything else. He could have did that kryptonite dart. Whole game's over. The whole thing's over. But he wants to like draw it out and torture him. What do you guys think about the character of Amanda McCoy, kind of in the Mercy Graves role, this assistant of Lex's who's seemingly in love with him, admires him, but Lex just can't give her the time of day because he is just too laser focused on this whole Lois situation.
The whole time, I was just like, you're not Mercy. You're not Mercy. Who are you? Like, you're a great assistant, but you're not Mercy. Like, you're not his down bad, like, bottom bit,
I don't know. She seemed
Mercy.
like
You think she was too emotional? It was what it was? Like, argued with him too much? Because I don't think Mercy was ever really confrontational with.
Oh, she was his assailant, his secretary, his love, like everything. Like
aren't there other situations where Mercy is not real?
Like an AI kind of thing?
Like she's a robot?
Wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised that Lex would do that just so he has something he could turn off when he doesn't want it, when it doesn't agree with him. You know what I'm saying? Like I could totally see that being it. I love the next part of this show because it starts off with Smallville residents making subtle comments to Clark that they know that it's like when you know something about somebody, like a secret about somebody.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's like somebody's pregnant in the room and you're like, all right, let's all go drinking. But not you. kind of thing. Like just all these little hints without outright saying it, and this freaks Clark out. The fact that people are so chill about like, like we know, because you're Superman. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I left my oven on, and he runs away.
Amanda McCoy is a fictional character appearing in American comic books published by DC Comics. She is a scientist that works at LexCorp that was once extrapolated for information about Superman by Lana Lang.
Interesting, because I don't know if she's logistics or something.
She seems more like a fixer.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I like I like this.
So
he's been.
I was interested that she was a character that did exist.
Right. So they did use somebody that exists in the comics. But yeah, Clark doesn't want to get outed, and it just seems like that's what the entire town's talking about is the fact that he's Superman. So he just keeps like finding ways to run out of the conversation and not, I don't know what you're talking about. Not me. Oh, Superman. Oh, never me. Even the coach. Even the coach is like, come on, bro. He's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And it makes sense because for years he kept his identity hidden to protect his loved ones, but now it seems like more people are figuring it out. His sons are also targeted by a classmate who accuses them of using their powers for an unfair advantage. This is actually one of my favorite things coming full circle. It's like, wait a minute, you bastards, because that whole football thing. Remember they forfeited the entire season because they found out they were all on drugs and shit. So like all of that, I love that all of that's come full circle. That town knows nothing but football, and all of it has been ruined by the Kent kids. And I think that
also it's like sort of funny because like he's not actually right about this one.
No, but they can't prove it. Because when John had powers, it was because he was taking XK. It wasn't because he had actual powers.
Yeah.
But that's all they need to know is that he had powers at one time when he was on the football team. Now that they know that they're both Superboy, they're like, "Oh, you just been hiding the shit. You just been using your powers illegally to get yourself up."
But also that they're accusing like the wrong brother.
Oh yeah, Jordan's like, yeah, he did it.
It
was him.
Why would you do that, John?
Why would you? Yeah, it's so ridiculous and irresponsible of you. And I like that Kyle intervenes because Kyle's one of the first ones to know. But Kyle's like, hey, your ass are going. I don't know the hell you're talking about. Then he warns Clark that, keeping your secret is becoming a growing issue. This is made even clearer when Jonathan confesses that he told Candace the truth. His drug dealer girlfriend, who's not even in town right now, knows the truth. What you doing out here, kid? Listen, I read Daredevil Born Again, okay? Daredevil Born Again starts off, ladies and gentlemen, spoiler alert, with Karen Page high on drugs, running from the cartel because she's become a drug addict. And in an effort to make some money, she sells the identity of Matt Murdock to an unknown buyer who eventually ends up being Wilson Fisk, who kills everybody who knew that Matt Murdock was Daredevil and then uses that information to torture the man without fear. Candace gets squeezed for a second. She's telling the world that they're all Superman. That whole family. They're right there. I'll give you the address. They're right there and they all
Superman. By the way, go back and listen to it.
Yeah, and they all, yes. Fantastic. So the kids don't understand why Clark insists on keeping the secret. But we flash back to moments where Clark had to sacrifice things like friendships, like when Jimmy Olsen confronted him about being Superman. Though keeping the secret has cost Clark a lot, it's been essential for his family's safety, and he's still not ready to give it up. I buy this. I buy this because of the lengths that have been gone in this entire show to not tell people that he's Superman. To make all the reveals were big. The reveal to Kyle, the reveal to Lana was huge, and Lana's like his best friend. The fact that he waited so long to tell her, I buy that he would still be in this moment. Like, come on, I
stopped talking to him for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, remember that? Yeah. Until she got some steel in her life.
I appreciate this trope, like between
some iron
Batman,
in her diet.
Superman, I'm weak.
Stop that, sir.
Between Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman, I appreciate the trope that the secret identity is still like sacred, you know, because of all the responsibility they're holding. So there's consequence, like, they have to protect their loved ones at the end of the day, and they make enemies, and like I love that trope that it's still going strong.
It probably
Yeah.
doesn't help that other than Spider-Man, the MCU has kind of trampled all over the idea.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
could start to believe like, well, why, why can't you? You're all powerful and stuff. And
Yeah.
to be fair, Superman, I believe, currently doesn't have a secret identity. Comics. I believe he
No,
not so
he does
long
not.
ago came up. I mean, who knows what mind wipe will fix this later on down the line.
Of
But
course.
I believe that he has let himself be known to be Superman in comics currently. So
Yeah.
once you give that game away, the story of Superman becomes a different story. Right now, it's a story of him trying to be a regular man with a regular family who occasionally has to sneak out to do super things to protect family and to protect other families.
Yeah. If I'm not getting too ahead, I just want to say we made a whole thing about like Homeboy. Firstly, his Homeboy not telling his girl about it. His brother stepping in to tell his girl about it.
Yeah.
The girl accepting the secret as like, oh, okay, I get it. You should have told me this the whole time.
Yeah.
She lasts a week.
Yeah, and then she starts like people start bothering her online, and she's like, "Yeah, I think we are gonna break up. I'm
She's
sorry
like,
about
yeah,
all
you
that."
know what? Maybe I'm not half of this life. It's like,
Look, getting all those text messages and all that attention after people find out that your boyfriend is Superboy has to be hard, but it has to be even harder if you're on drugs.
You're a drug dealer.
If you're on drugs and you're a drug dealer. So I don't blame her, man. She was like, "Where's this gonna lead?" Are people?
Listen, your secret life is messing with my secret life, right?
Yeah, my suppliers ain't gonna give me my stuff no more because they think I'm hooking up with a Superboy.
I'm hooking up with the narc.
Ridiculous. Kyle and Chrissy decide to move, and Lois helps by buying Chrissy's half of the Smallville Gazette. There's a little like hesitance there, and they literally like let that sit and change and things, but that's ultimately what happens. They celebrate at a local diner, but are interrupted by Candace's estranged crackhead father, Emmett,
So much I went into that.
who is back in town with a score to settle. Now, I think up there with the finale of this series, this is one of the best moments of this show for me.
Okay.
So last time Clark faced him, he humiliated Emmett to protect Lois and Candace. Now, fresh out of prison, Emmett claims that Lex told him Superman's identity, and he starts trying to like provoke Clark into revealing himself.
Mm-hmm.
When that fails, Emmett just outright shoots at Clark, forcing him to decide whether or not to expose himself as Superman. In a powerful moment, all of time slows down.
I love how well this was done.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Man.
The music swells, and I'm like, you got me with the music already. I could do anything. He can do
Yeah.
a cartwheel right now. It's I'm gonna cry. It is what it is. The music starts to swell.
I dug the hell out of the idea that like yeah, like time slows down. It's just like Superman's just standing there, just like, oh, I gotta make a decision.
That's basically it. It's the world's biggest sigh. It's the world's biggest.
This is taking less than half a second in real time.
Yeah.
And Superman's just like, God damn it.
I guess. And time slows down. He looks at the townspeople in the diner. He looks at Lois. He looks at all of them one last time as Clark, because once he does this, never gonna just be Clark again. And
I love that Lois is the biggest giveaway because if anyone is paying attention to her, she has zero concern on her face.
Yeah, that her
husband about to get shot.
Yeah, who disappeared for quite some time. Her human husband who disappeared for quite some time, and is now back. She's not afraid at all.
Conveniently.
He transforms into Superman. He takes the bullet to the chest without a scratch, and Kyle takes Emmett outside. And then even the transition, right? The music swells, whatever, boom, and then it's just the Superman logo. He's just there, full attire, all his glory. And Clark, determined to remove the weapon of the secret from Lex's hands, decides to publicly reveal it to the world. In an interview with Jimmy Olsen's sister, Clark announces that he's Superman. Afterwards, he reunites with Jimmy, who, despite years of deception, treats Clark like an old friend. No more secrets between them. They talk as if nothing ever changed, and Jimmy forgives his pal. I really liked I liked this whole episode. I liked that they spent 3/4 of it, really hammering home this is not something that he wants to do. They really made
Yeah.
it adamant that this is not something he literally has to be forced to make the decision. But I like that it was him that got to make the decision. You know, and
Mhm.
I like how he proceeds to go on past that. Um, it's very freeing when you've lived one way and find out that there's another way. That it doesn't have to be as hard, it doesn't have to be as secretive, it doesn't have to be as lonely. Because you got to imagine a life with that secret where you can't tell anyone, has to be incredibly lonely. And the only reason why things have gotten better for Clark is because he can tell his wife. He eventually told his children.
Yeah.
You know, his parents knew. You know, so
And
like he had those support systems.
what's interesting is that like while there were a lot of situations throughout the show where telling people has changed their relationships.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Olsen's the first time where you really see that like the secret has prevented him from having relationships, and like
Yeah.
the secret has corrupted relationships that he wanted to keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
And like
this is the whole like
you end up
yeah,
imagining how many times has that happened by now.
right. And this
That was the literally the question that popped into my head after seeing the Jimmy Olsen thing, because I'm like, damn, Superman can't really have friends or have obligations
yeah.
because he's Superman. Like that, they really hammered that home for me.
Yeah.
To prove the point that he wasn't Superman, he had to break Jimmy's heart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I love how Jimmy comes across it. Well, okay, that proves that you're not Superman. You just don't want to hang. You just don't want to chill. Okay, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is. I was like, no, he does want to chill. I promise you, he wants to chill. Go home and play GoldenEye together. You
Oh
need
yeah,
it.
I good lord.
You need it. Hey, it brings people together, bro. Um, so with all this done and Luther, you know, beat up under lights and all this kind of stuff, he's just like out of it. And Amanda's like, listen, we need to just change this. Put the power in my hands. Let me start to control things my way with this whole situation, and I bet you things kind of go better. So he ends up taking Amanda's suggestion. He shaves his beard. He gets a new tailored suit, all in an attempt to clean up his image.
Basically, like, homie, you got no media training.
Yes, you don't. You really don't. You're showing up to small town bars yelling at the patrons because they won't let you buy land. Like, there's no tact here at all. He makes a public appearance on the primetime news program Gottfried, because I think a parody on Gutfeld, which is interesting. Which is known for its sensationalism. Gutfeld is on the Fox network, so sensationalism is par for the course. He uses the show to tell his sob story about an innocent, hardworking man who is falsely imprisoned by a diabolical reporter who uses lies to get what she wants. All he had to say was all he had to say was DEI, bro.
Guy.
That's all he had to say was DEI, and everyone would have got on his fucking side. He just needed more buzzwords. This nasty woman. She was a nasty woman. She locked me up, and that was it. That's it. It would have been a wrap.
Can we talk about this fucking guy?
Loser Lois. You're talking about Tom Cavanaugh.
Tom Cavanaugh is back.
The worst Wells of them all, Godfrey. this Alex Jones-esque sort of reporter here. But I was very happy to see him because I know that he directed some of the episodes here as well. He has been directing episodes. He is.
I would have gone more for like a Sean Hannity or one of those guys.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's literally the name. The guy's name is Gutfeld. Guy that he's parodying. It's the same logo with an exclamation mark and everything.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember neither of their first names. I can't remember this Godfrey's guy's first name, Gilbert, maybe. And I definitely can't remember the Gutfeld guy. But I like seeing Tom Cavanaugh back. He really is. I'm glad they made him. I'm glad they made him Pariah in Crisis, because he really is everywhere. He there's this multiversal variants are everywhere. And this is not a Wells.
Side note, he can play that character like almost smartest man in the room. Nothing against Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
But I really want this man to be Mr. Fantastic.
He could have done it. He does the best sly smile I've seen in a while, and he's done it all throughout the Flash. But the best, yeah, I'm bullshitting. What are you gonna do about it? Yeah, I'm lying. What are you gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? What I just said sounded so fire that what do you know? It's your word versus mine. Go ahead, GT.
So like, I'm remembering I knew this name and I couldn't figure out why, and I just had to look it up now. So like, while the character is based on this whatever sensationalist gentleman, I do remember where the character is from. It is a DC Comics character.
Ah, is he
He's
sensationalist too, or do
playing
you think
G.
they just
Gordon Godfrey.
Gordon Godfrey? Gordon Godfrey.
Best known like from the Justice League show and from Young Justice.
Oh, that's who we. Oh, that
Also the
makes
host,
sense.
also the host of a sensationalist TV show.
Full circle. Full circle.
Wow, wow.
So yep, they do. He does the show.
He also appears in Smallville, played by Michael Dangerfield, who was a shock jock.
See, so he's
Being
always
possessed by
just
Darkseid.
yeah, it's always sensational. Being possessed by Darkseid. Darkseid's out there putting out.
I don't
Oh
even
my
ask me
God.
about Smallville. I have
That
no room for that in my life.
that
We're
is
almost. What
hilarious.
season does that happen? Because we're watching Smallville right now.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking about it, bro?
And
Thinking it? Or is it Two Network?
Oh my God. Um. Well, the 2000 early 2000s riding the show in its ass in the show. Can't be mad about that.
Right,
But it's
right.
like, man, this Clark. I don't want to say he's a pussy, but it's like, dude, you a lot of these problems can be handled if you just thought about it.
Yeah, yeah. Funny stuff.
what
I've
are
always wanted to get
thoughts?
into it. It just feels like so much show. It feels like so much show. Like 10 seasons,
It's a
isn't it?
lot. Yes, and it's like every episode there's something happening. Someone's getting possessed. Clark getting tossed. Someone's getting knocked out. Kryptonite is literally like the MacGuffin of the show. It just does whatever the writers wanted to do.
I
I'm like, I
believe
thought
that.
it was radiation, but like it can make you give you powers, make you possess people, make you invisible, teleport. Like
Yeah,
what can Kryptonite not do?
right.
Like
The
is there
father,
like
the father from the Wonder Years is endangering people's lives. What's
For
going
some
on?
reason. And isn't one of them the dude from Batman Forever? Woodrow? Isn't he Lex's dad?
Lionel
The
Luthor?
the per, the person that kills Pamela Isley in Batman and Robin.
Oh, was he?
I think
I
that's
don't
him.
remember that movie.
You remember? It's like a really wild haired scientist gentleman. But he plays the guy is the Pharaonic Man. It's Jason Woodrow. Let me see, Jason Woodrow. He was in Batman and Robin. He was played by somebody in Batman and Robin. He was played by John Glover. Is John Glover
Okay.
Lionel Luthor?
John Glover is Lionel Luthor in Smallville.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
And in some film, he played Dr. Savannah. I think the Shazam animated film.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and he voiced Riddler in Batman the Animated Series. What is this man's resume? What is he doing? Yo, he's doing Alan Tudyk. Alan Tudyk is Mr. Nobody. He voiced Joker. He's doing Clayface.
Yeah.
It was something else that he was doing. Oh, he did the dance for Peacemaker. He did the choreography for that. My boy's trying to make sure he
That's
stays
funny.
in the DCU.
He's also in Lucifer, which is a DC adjacent product. We also saw him in an episode of Agent Carter.
My God, you see, my man's trying to get his comic book bona fide. But
yes.
Lex ends up challenging Lois to a debate on the late night segment of the show, something Lois accepts, though Clark strongly advises against it. And I'm with Clark. I'm like, that's his like playground. Like you're not gonna win there. There's no point in going. But I like that Lois don't play no crap. She ain't about that. She got called out, so we coming out. What's it finna be? Right? I like my hard smoking, hard drinking, razor blade in the mouth, Lois
Not
Lane.
hard drinking.
When the razor blade out her mouth, bro. She here. Lois thinks she has an ace up her sleeve as Otis, who was ordered by Lex to assassinate Mayor Lang, is in custody, and he could testify against Luthor. But unfortunately, they're informed by John Henry that Otis was found dead in his cell. Suddenly, as crowds do, they surround the Gazette with people accusing Lois of lying to imprison Luther. Then a brick gets thrown through the window, and she gets pissed, and she's like, "You know what? Then we doing this? Coming to my
Can I
street?"
say? I want to say, and I'm pretty sure a lot of this is informed by the animated series from yesteryear.
Yeah.
Much as I love Bitsy Tulloch, the one thing she does not have, or at least does not have in comparison to the voice actor in that one,
Mhm.
there, like, I don't get that hard New York edge.
I get you. Yeah. Yeah.
Like she was
Like the city
raised in the
vibe, like the
city.
city accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The grit.
But she has the attitude of a city person. Like she like you said, Joe, she didn't take a crap from no one, especially when it comes to her
No.
family. And yeah, her husband's Superman, but you still don't mess with my man. Like
Yeah.
she's given that.
And she would. The thing
Yeah.
is, like, it's not like she won't cry. She'll stand up to you first. She'll cry later, but she'll stand up to you first. But
She's gonna have
I
a
like this
very heated
Lois.
discussion with her therapist.
I like this moment, right? Because this is when they throw the brick through the window, and when they throw the brick through the window, Superman's able to catch it, and that's when she decides that she's going to do the debate. But later on, John's like, "You didn't hear that brick? It hit the wall, hit the glass." And Clark's like, "Oh no!" He's like, "No, your ass should have caught that like way before it fucking happened." And I like that was such a little detail in the episode that comes back around, because he's like, I don't know, man. You say you're alright, but your wife almost got hit with a brick. You're supposed to be the fastest man alive, and your wife almost got hit with a brick.
But I also like took that criticism very weird because I was just like, wait, are you implying that you heard it first? What?
Oh
What
yeah,
do you
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
little
yeah,
man?
right. That's kind of funny. The boys have trouble dealing with their new celebrity, but they get over it, realizing that this is the new normal. That's what I got on the Kens. But
Yeah.
with the debate approaching, Lex gets scared. He kind of gets some cold feet. As A-Rob said earlier, there are too many variables, but Amanda convinces him to go through with it. Lois begins the debate by accusing Lex Luthor of heinous acts, but lacks proof since Otis is dead. Collusion. Lex counters by showing footage of Clark attacking him, painting himself as a victim of a smear campaign by Lois and her husband. Frustrated, Lois demands the studio contact Elizabeth Luthor. They should have done the whole Jerry Springer. Oh, she's right here, right now. Like
Yeah.
everyone was talking about Elizabeth. Let's bring her out here right now. But no, they gotta call her, and before they are able to, because she's like, I'll call Elizabeth. She'll confirm that Lex really wants to torture us, and literally like forgone a relationship with his daughter to do so. But before that can happen, Amanda orders Lex's men to hack and hijack the Steel and Starlight suits. The Chaos forces Clark to transform into Superman during the debate, confront the rogue suits. Steel suit traps John Henry, but Superman ends up rescuing him, losing the suit in the process. Meanwhile, Nat's suit targets her, but the Kent boys disable it using their heat vision. Godfrey spins the incident as a distraction orchestrated by Lois to cover her failing debate. That smarmy, slimy son of a bitch.
Right.
I like the real life to art juxtaposition that Luthor has orchestrated this entire setup.
Yeah.
And also this was the episode that Michael Crichton directed.
Oh, he does a good job in this. This is like one of his most vulnerable episodes. When that daughter almost gets called, all alarm bells are ringing for him. He is not in his element.
That was his worst fear. Like, wait, what?
100%. And what do you guys think of the idea of doing it this way? Obviously, trying to parody and mirror life in these kind of sensationalist talk shows. Is that a step too far? The fact that this is actively going on today, or is that what this kind of media is supposed to do? Kind of replicate what's going on.
For that show, for what they had in universe, yeah, because art imitates life. And when it comes to like big names like that, you have accusations, allegations, talk it out. Because clearly, like what's happening isn't being had. It's not helping. There's no solution.
Yeah.
to this. And plus, I feel like you said, Luther probably orchestrated all this just to make Lois look bad because he has the vendetta. She made me look bad. I couldn't see my daughter, so I will make you look bad.
Yeah, he's just better
Just
at it.
petty, just petty narcissism.
What about you,
But I
GT?
also so I think this works not only because it reflects today, but because it was something that was set up early in season one, which is the idea that that the traditional news sources and media don't really work anymore because of media, like sensational television and media control,
Yeah.
which is the reason that they had to go independent, and the reason that Lois Lane's best work is done kind of just from a laptop on her bed and not in the Daily Planet.
I actually forgot that Morgan Edge owned the planet.
Yeah.
And thus he controlled what they said, and that's why she went to the Gazette. This is that sort of theme that continues even today of like what is the absolute truth in the face of stories or vibes, right? Because that's all Luther doing is giving vibes. She's trying with truth. She's telling the truth, but the vibes don't match, and there's not enough proof to back up her truth. So
Right.
Lex's vibes are coming off better, and even more than Lois's, especially when Godfrey starts to sprinkle his little sensational dust on everything. So yeah, I dug that as well.
It's
The
funny because Godfrey is very much sort of a villain. He is not against playing Lois's side when Lois's side has something interesting to say.
100%. It's all for
He
the
does
ratings. He doesn't
play
give a
both
damn
of
about
them.
Luther either. Yeah,
Yeah, he's playing both of them to their faces.
yeah, does and I think that Kavanaugh does a great job doing it. He's just so smarmy and just slimy. That smile. It's the smile. Why are you smiling?
smile,
Nothing that we're talking about is smile worthy, and you are ear to ear. Like you are salivating over this story, it being on your network, the ratings, all that kind of stuff. Even though there's lives on the line. At home, Lois ends
Not
up.
lives I care about.
Yeah, right. At home, Lois regrets facing Luther, while Lex gleefully customizes the stolen steel suit. Stolen. Say that, Bob. Stolen
steel.
steel suit for himself. And we're now we want to talk about that's another arc full circle, right? Captain Luther, the steel suit.
Yes.
I was hoping to get the green and purple.
Yeah,
I thought he was gonna deck it out with a
I-
color scheme.
I was hoping for the same. He gets the green and purple in Supergirl prior, right?
Yes.
Prior ends up
Nice.
getting
I think he does.
the green and purple in Supergirl. But in the very first
I chalk that up to like Pryor having time to develop that.
That's fair. But it's also this idea that the very first episode of this series, John Henry Irons in the steel suit he's being called Captain Luther, and we're led to believe that this is Lex Luthor that's trying to attack Superman until it's revealed that it's steel. And now Captain Luther is in the steel suit. Really, Luther is in the suit. So I think that's a fun little them coming full circle. All of their red herrings are now becoming real. The Doomsday thing, and now this. No, I thought that was interesting. Studying Clark, we were talking about before, yeah, that Steele's like, yo, you could have got that brick. So they decide to kind of study his physiology. And John Henry discovers troubling news. Clark is not only are his powers dampened from his, the previous max that he had, but they're also weakening over time.
Yeah.
He's slowly losing them and maybe even developing a life-threatening heart condition. To be fair, he didn't develop that. Sam Lane developed that.
Yeah.
Hard smoking, hard drinking, Sam Lane.
There's a Goku joke in here somewhere.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. What was it? What did they give him that fucked up his heart, Goku? It was that little.
I don't even know what fucked up his heart, but like he just dies of a heart disease. And
Yeah.
We have to send Time Boy out to fix him.
I'm telling you, we got to drink more. Eat more Cheerios. That's what, right? Cheerios are for heart disease.
Yeah,
I feel like the effective advertisement. Look at that, effective advertisement. Get Magic Mind. But so one day, Superman's powers will vanish, and One day, he may not even wake up at all. Clark shares this grim prognosis with his family, but they focus on cherishing their time together. However, Lex, using the stolen suit, also learns of Clark's condition because they're on the same Wi-Fi network. He gets all the same info as John Henry. He's like, oh, this motherfucker weak. All right, let's handle this. I love that he tells his family, like, I'm not gonna be Superman forever, and one day I might die. And they're all like, oh, I mean, we're all gonna die. So they feel bad for him, but they're not like, it's not like he's gonna die tomorrow. We're all pretty
Yeah.
we're all pretty okay. Fearing a world without him, though, Clark pushes his sons through grueling training at the fortress, but the results are lackluster. And then, after advice from his mother, he shifts strategies to train them as a team. What I love is that, like, gets that idea. It seems like a good idea. He gives them a little bit of a practice doing it. That seems good. He's like, okay, guys, we're ready to finally kick it into gear. And then Doomsday shows up, and it's like, no, we ain't got time. It's on the job training.
What?
Yeah, it's on the job training now. We ain't got time to be doing no more practice. It's on the job training now. Elsewhere, Lex hands full control of Luthor Corp to Amanda, but Lois warns her it's part of Lex's larger scheme. Seeking answers, Lois goes to my boy Bruno Mannheim. My man Bruno's back. We don't talk about Bruno. We talk about Bruno Mannheim here. All right, my boy Chad Coleman, who's just seemingly getting bigger, and I want to think it's just like power, but I just feel like over time, yeah, he's just becoming a bruiser. But yeah, I like Bruno Mannheim. He comes back, and he's surprised to learn that Lex's former lover Cheryl was killed, because he's like, that's his lover. Like, he was in love with her. I'm surprised that he killed her. And this makes Lois kind of link that, oh wow, Cheryl was seduced and used by Lex, and Amanda's probably in the same boat. So I'm just gonna tell Amanda, like, he ain't no good for you. But Amanda's like, that's my man. I don't care what you say. You know what I'm saying? Can't nobody slap it. Can you fight? You know what I'm saying? Kind of shit. She was like, can't nobody beat my man. And then Lois is like, okay, fine. Die. So Milton, Luthor's man in the chair that ends up hacking the suits, ends up tracking Doomsday to the mines, while Lex Luthor returns to Smallville with a chilling plan: unleash the creature on the unsuspecting town. And it's like, that is crazy. And he's like, I don't care. And then she's like, I'm gonna leave. And he's like, yeah, I don't care. We're doing the Doomsday plot. We were doing Doomsday. Have you not seen Superman Doomsday? That's what we're doing. I just saw it. It's amazing. I'm bringing him to this.
Did you read the script?
Yes, I'm here to do this. So she walks away. Like, you know what? I'm done with this. This was always about him. This was always about his control. This was always about his power. I almost feel like he gave her power of the company because he thought he was gonna die. Like, he didn't care what the result of what any of this was. So if she has power with the company, it is what it is.
I had a different ploy in mind. I always assumed that, like, if I thought he gave her power of the company so that if something went down legally, she would end up like taking fall for it.
Plausible deniability kind of stuff.
As the proprietor of the business, yeah.
Yeah, it could go either way, right? It could be a case where if he ends up getting in some legal trouble, they can't dissolve the company because he's not the biggest shareholder. That could be one thing.
Right.
And then the other side of it, he could be either she saves the company because it's in her control, or she's the sitting duck when they're looking for somebody to blame on all this. They're like, well, she happily signed all the documents, and she's now the leader of LexCorp.
Damn.
So like at the end, it would have been like fucking Luthor sold off his shares on the slide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, real quick. And
so, he's got nothing to do with this.
Anytime a billionaire moves shares, you need to just pay attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, really look hard, because they're not doing it for altruistic reasons.
Oh, dude, remember when all the stuff came out? I was like Stephanie McMahon has sold
all her shares.
Like, well, what's happening, dog?
A lot of people cashing out. Interesting. Determined to proceed, Luthor uses John's suit to kill and resurrect Doomsday, then sets the monstrous being loose on Smallville. As chaos unfolds, Lois desperately tries to reach the humanity within Doomsday again. He's like, nah, that shit ain't working. Like I get like last time, I was in a mood. I had just finished drinking and I was emotional. But this time, you ain't getting me this time, girl. Superman steps in to confront the creature, engaging in a brutal battle, while the twins work tirelessly to evacuate the townspeople. On the verge of defeat, Superman takes a moment to tell his family how much he loves them before Doomsday drags him away. That was an effective ass cliffhanger. Like him just getting dragged off by Doomsday. It's like, we here. We here. And we are here. The finale of Superman and Lois.
And so we end as we began.
Yes. Lois convinces Superman to let the twins help while Lana and an injured John assist, knocking Doomsday out using John's hammer. As Superman flies Doomsday towards the sun to weaken him, Doomsday wakes
Wait,
up.
I'm sorry. Before you get into that climax, can we talk about them stealing a scene from Justice League
Which scene?
where
Lobotomizing Doomsday,
goes
basically.
no, when Doomsday goes to punch him, and he just does the whole like.
Oh
glare.
yeah, the slow motion look at the arm kind of thing. Yeah.
I was like, I know that shot.
Yeah, really effective stuff there. But yeah, this is like the other really like I pair this up there with Doomsday not choosing not to attack Lois. But it's Doomsday
Yeah.
like I'm over. You know what, bro? I'll do this. I'm done with this. So I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna just go into the sun and kill myself. He wakes up, he ends up sacrificing himself. He literally does the I can't hand up.
Right?
Don't save me. I got this. And then you
That
kind of
generally surprised me. Like I was sitting there just going like, wait, what? Oh,
but then is it in this moment that they do like a little mini flashbacks of like him, his life, all that kind of stuff or whatever? I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
Yeah.
And you really get to appreciate that there was a person underneath all of this at one point, and he never wanted any of this. This was all a massive escalation from the beginning of him like taking XK or whatever started this whole debacle. But Doomsday is gone.
he's
He's
like, nah, bro,
sacrificed.
we gotta fight. I got this.
Yeah, he's like, I'm done. He's like, it's either I leave or you punch me more. I'm out of here. I'm done.
I know now why you cry.
Um,
This is not something I can do.
they go out to do a broadcast to broadcast that Luther has set this guy, set this monster on the town. And Luther tries to kill Amanda because he's over it. She's not on his side anymore, so she's a liability. He tries to kill her, but the twins end up saving her. John and the DOD arrest Milton. They find the man in the chair. John gets his suit back.
Milton.
Who's Milton? It was a Milton. While Superman rescues Jordan, who brings Jonathan back. In a final showdown, Superman and Lex go hand to hand up in the clouds, and Superman destroys Lex's suit and defeats him right there in front of everybody on camera. 1 year later, Lois officiates John and Lana's wedding.
It's
Chrissy,
the great shot of the Superman punch that was very invoking of the Jorge Jimenez art.
yeah, even seeing like the suit like explode, that was pretty damn cool. Just all those shots. It was
a very anime-esque explosion. Like we don't do like a regular suit destruction. We do that thing where it just opens up completely.
yeah. Like he pressed the exact right button. It's like what happens when you
Yeah.
punch a putty in the middle in that star thing, and then they just kind of just explode or whatever. It's basically what happened here. But beautifully done. And again, like he even showed a level of rage here in this moment. This has been a trying time for my boy Clark this entire
Yeah.
season, and he is finally ready to put all this to rest.
I did think it was hilarious the version of this fight where it's like, you know what it is? It's the old pro wrestling thing where it's like the baby face stands in the middle while the heel runs to the center and just bumps for him.
Yeah, and I mean,
It's like Superman standing in one place going, "Stop it."
what did Lex think was gonna happen? Because don't they like play
don't.
chicken, right? That's that's how that thing happens. Like they race towards each other and they just scream. But like you're just you. He's Superman. I feel like, but I also, like I said, I wonder at what point Lex was just ready to die for all this.
I'm assuming Lex is believing that he isn't quite Superman anymore still at this point.
All the stuff that he learned about him being weaker and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I get that. What do you think of the final showdown, A-Rob?
Lex, like I said before, this was a pure crash out. This man gave up his company. He stole a high tech suit, hacked government, just technology, killed government officials, put kryptonite weapons on the suit to try to kill this weakened state Superman. Like this was a pure crash. A good finale. All that hit all the high notes, the music, the lines, just everything coming to a head, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
I do like
oh my
that this
god,
this Luthor is basically meant more so to be a juxtaposition of Clark, right? Like can't keep his
yeah,
family together, can't be patient enough and let somebody else take have the power and um we learn what
Doesn't
how
value anyone else's input.
yeah his pride is his pride above all. He has to do everything, and he lost all of that anger, all of that malice is not enough power, and with hope, Superman was able to defeat him. So yeah,
Can I
we
ask you
go
both a question?
go.
Do you
yeah.
think when they made Iron Man, they knew that they were creating what was going to be the template for all mecha scenes?
Yeah, right. The head in the suit, right?
The
The
heads up
head,
display,
yeah, the
right?
head in the suit forever now, forever.
Supergirl got it.
Yeah, I felt
The
like
Lex suit got it.
did Adam do that too? Oh, you can see Adam's face, right? I
Yeah.
guess that doesn't count. But I feel like you're right. Almost every other person now who has a tech suit, you get the eye target and the the heads up display and all that kind. And
The guy who's in the massage table getting filmed from under.
yes, and always having some sort of vaguely European AI system tell you that you're dying. The suit is losing power. You only have 3% left in all cases. But yeah, we move forward. Lois officiates John and Lana's wedding. Something that she did not offer for Chrissy and
I'm sorry.
Kyle.
I'm imagining now like if the AI suit was just like a hood like this shit is talking to me.
Yeah, yo, you can't take another hit. You stupid. Fuck out of here. That's what I need. That's what Black
Yeah,
Lightning
bring
would
it
have
on to
had.
me, dog.
That's what Black Lightning would have had.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and the funny thing is, he would have went to his white tailor and be like, "Why did you use that voice? Why'd you
Oh,
use
by
that
the way,
voice?"
so like Mannheim makes the comments about like how nobody else was taking care of the South Side, and I was just like, this is why this Superman is the superior Superman because he goes to the ghetto, not like prime era Superman. Who
Yeah,
ain't got time for that part of
he
Metropolis.
ain't go to suicide slums. He ain't trying to go to them streets, bro. He's like, I lock my
He's
doors
like
when I go into suicide slums. I lock my
the
doors.
green light will take care of itself.
Yeah, you want some green light, bro? You need some green light. Give me that green light. So, yo, I still banging ass song about a fake drug, but
Season 1 Black Lightning, fantastic. Good luck with the rest.
yeah, we are at the John and Lana wedding. Like I said, Lois officiates, which is funny because she did not offer her services for Kyle and Christy's wedding, which makes me believe she does not give a damn. Kyle and Chrissy are there, and they're raising their son, and they're expecting another. I don't know if they are married. I don't know if it's that they are. Sarah is studying abroad in Greece. Luther is locked away in Stryker prison, where Mannheim takes pleasure in his downfall. I thought that was very well done. They're like,
Yeah.
give me my room. Like, you ain't got no room. You ain't got no power. You don't own things here. Because he used to make people like be his chair and shit, right? Was that him?
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't. I don't think so.
No. Am I thinking of somebody else? He used to make people like be a chair so he could sit in it.
I mean, I don't think it was. I'm saying it wasn't man. I don't think it was Mannheim.
No.
But
I thought it was Luther.
yeah,
I thought it was
yeah,
Luther
yeah.
prior.
Luther
Yeah,
is the guy sitting on him.
yeah. So he's been waiting to get, and he's been talking about Lex since season 3. So I love that these two are together, and Luther's not getting any sort of special. It's all over. Over the next 32 years, Superman keeps protecting the Earth while the twins in Iron by his side. Clark and Lois work with charities, drawing attention to important global issues. You gonna say, GT?
Oh no. I was going to talk about just like I thought it was really interesting the Mannheim relationship with the Kents with like the idea that that Lois feels remorse for putting him away for something he didn't do, despite the bevy of actual crimes he has committed.
Right.
And like Mannheim's just like, who fucking cares how he got in there? We got him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And he's ultimately made to be a sympathetic villain in season 3, even though he had done a bunch of stuff. You know, his wife has cancer, and he
Yeah.
comes from the slums, and he's ultimately trying to not only cure her, but to make a better life for the people from the neighborhood that he's from, and they see him as a good guy as well. So
Yeah.
I like that all that happened here. The
I
twins.
I'm sorry. I just think it's an interesting conversation of the idea of like whether how legitimately or how desperate are you to put somebody away, even if they have done things
Yeah.
yeah, but we did it the wrong way.
Right, and that's a lot of I feel like conversations in superhero lore and stuff like that. I remember specifically Luke Cage season 2 when they are trying to
Mm,
get at Mariah, and you would think that Luke would be like, "Go ahead," you know what I'm saying? Like, "I'm what the fuck I can go ahead, kill her ass." But that's not the right thing to do, and so
yeah,
although it would solve his problem, he doesn't allow that to happen because it's not the right way to handle that kind of situation.
Right.
Stokes.
Stokes.
Mariah
Dillard.
Stokes.
Don't call her Dillard. You want to talk yard to a yardie? I love that line. I fucking love
On
that
top of
line.
the hill,
I love that line. Lord of mercy. But the twins grow up, they get married, and they have kids of their own. The family's all big. You got to see Clark with a little bit of them grays, rocking the sweater. I like it. Look at this old ass family. Lois cancer returns. That's fucked. And we are shown her last moments with the family, and she ends up passing away. Very, very, very sad moment. Um, this is the couple I've been rooting for the whole show, and then she passes away, and then there's only Clark. Um,
it was
there's
deep for
a
me.
I can't remember. I'm like vaguely remember right now. I've read way too much stuff, but I vaguely remember something where Superman's like, you have to understand, as somebody who's gonna live forever and has the idea that I'm not, that my loved ones aren't. You have to understand that my love means even more because I know it's not forever.
Yeah.
I can't remember where that came from, but it reflects here, you know. And the joke has always, not a joke, but like the one of the lines, like, Superman is gonna outlive everything he ever loved. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that we didn't have to get that here.
I think it's even reflected in the first death where Lois even says you weren't supposed to go first.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
They were all fine with dying without his ass, and he dies like, oh,
Yeah,
yo.
they accepted that choice.
Yeah, honor that. That's why when he says I can die now, they're like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we already kind of dealt with that. We already kind of did that. So yeah, so so boom, boom. That's first line, right? Lois
Yeah.
dies, waterworks start coming a little bit. They start poking out the side of the eyes, and I'm like,
I get that.
I'm like, all right, it is what it is, And then
I love how like sort of like terribly final it is with the it's the thing you most expect, but it sucks. It's like yeah, the cancer came back.
the thing about it is, in true Superman fashion, is something he can't punch. So you
Yeah.
have to make it
Yeah.
something that he can't do anything about and has to deal with. I always thought that was one of the better.
That's what the good writing
Yeah.
lies. It's right there.
Yeah, he can't do anything about it. He is more now a slave to all of it, time, in a way that he never has been before. So I'm saying that I'm just like, again, little bits of water are escaping the ducts in my eyes, and then uh he's sitting on the porch or whatever, and then that dog walks up and he calls it Crypto, and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing to me? And he's like, I should have always had a dog. Like, like, I don't know what took me so long. And I'm like, I don't know what took you so long either, you bastard. He
I
should have
also
been
I I also
Krypto.
love the idea that um like these little moments here sort of play with the injustice of it all, which is like uh, Clark feels empty and disconnected without Lois in his life, and
Mhm.
instead of doing something incredibly drastic, he just gets a dog.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, it could have been a moment where he takes a gun and puts it to his head, and he's like, "You know what, man, Lois, I'm coming home." And then a dog barks, and he's like,
Jesus.
"Oh, is that a dog?" Lois, I'll see you in 50 years. um, then you got Crypto. And then he basically narrates that years later, he eventually goes. He eventually dies of heart failure. And they do this perfect scene of him being surrounded by his loved ones as he passes away. His heart beats his
hmm
final beat, or I guess I should say Sam's heart beats its final beat. And then his spirit rises from his deceased body, and as he goes downstairs and
Fully
walks
flanneled.
in Infernal, as he goes downstairs as a ghost, as an ethereal being, as a spirit, he reflects on his life. You know, he says goodbye to his sons, he says friends, and he finally reunites with everyone he ever loved that isn't no longer here, including Lois in the afterlife. That door opens and she's in that dress.
I
More,
I I,
more, more.
I
I
don't
started
want
to
I
ball right there. I was like, yo, never are y'all doing this to me, man. My heartstrings.
Yeah.
I don't want to skip over what I thought was a very important little piece of that, which
Okay.
was actually that Luther is in the sequence.
Yeah, yeah. Which is an illusion that he passed away.
Oh
I
no, that
guess
was him. Like I thought, I took that scene when I saw Luthor, like when him passing on, like he didn't have nothing left. Like he forgave him. You know,
Yeah,
that's Superman. Like
yeah.
he didn't want
I
nothing like tying him down to this plane. So you know what? I don't hate you no more. I forgive you. I'm gonna pass on now.
Right.
yeah, but I thought I thought that was a very good touch too. That like not only is he not only is he just sort of letting go of um the life he led, but also like he's letting go of all the hatreds on the way out,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He's
which
a
is also like the most Superman thing to do. Is like
the most.
he doesn't go off into the next world still hating Luther. He's just like, look, I know you were fucked up, dog.
yeah,
And I like how that scene started because he opened it with like it was like this was like the first time I died. This
yeah,
time was peaceful. I was like, yes,
Yeah,
the writing,
yeah.
yes.
second
Like I
time I
said, that
died.
the music is swelling. Everybody is shown like glowing. You know, Lana and John, and he's just seeing all these
Hmm.
people. And then the door opens, and I know who's gonna be on the other side. But just seeing her and dressed as if she was waiting for his ass this whole time. I think she says like, "What took you so long?" or something like that. You know, Smallville, and I was just in tears. It was truly touching, and I don't have it on hand here, but the entire ending monologue about what life is about, how it's about friendship, how it's about your relationships, how it's about love, all that stuff. Like,
It's like friends, hope,
yeah,
joy, hope, forgiveness, because like they it all hits the few beats. Like joy with his two children, hope with like the future of their family and all those children who aren't paying attention to the camera at all. Uh,
yeah,
forgiveness with Luthor, friendship with Lana and John Henry, and then I think after Lana and John Henry, it's Lois with
I,
love.
um,
I think those are all the beats.
I know, and like it's like he's just saying this stuff, and I'm floored. Like,
Yeah.
just
I was balling.
it's just
There might have
so
been another beat with Kyle and Beppo.
leave them off the invitation. But he says, "I came in this world alone, and when I left it, I had so much, and it was because of love. It's the one thing, it's the thing that makes life worth living. Do everything you can to find love, to give it, to hold on to it, because life it goes by so fast. And again,
Ah,
I'm a mess. And the thing is, it goes by so fast is something they had on their in their house. I believe it was crocheted or something. It was one of those like "blessed is home" sort of signs that they
Yeah,
had
there's a
in the house.
it's in like one of the first scenes of this season.
Yeah, it goes by
Like
so fast. So
the which is like the not the message, but it's the energy of the entire season
yeah,
and of like the show ending.
and it's a great meditation on life because this Superman lived a human life. He may have lived a little bit longer than other people, but he ultimately had to worry about his mortality and had to worry about life going by too fast because then you just end up here. But it's love that carried through. And for the entirety of this show, the entire title screen was a bright Superman logo emerging from the darkness. For the first time, the episode ends with a gold Superman logo, a symbol shining bright amongst the. I thought that was a
Superman
very
1,000,000.
yeah, like this right here, and and I just thought that was incredibly fitting for the show. Um, this is I try my best not to be hyperbolic, but I am tied to this Superman in a way that I haven't been tied to others. And
Same.
in the midst of trying to get to the heart of what this character is, because I do think Superman is one of the most misunderstood characters in the history of comics.
Yeah.
I think he means different things to different people, and I didn't find what he meant to me until this show, and until some stories written by Peter J. Tomasi for Rebirth.
Right.
But it
It
was
feels like
right.
specifically this version. It feels like it was almost an accident.
Yeah, and they
Because
just
like
kept failing upwards. I just kept having these moments like,
yeah,
what is this show? Why is it doing it to me? I love it.
he was a disembodied like representative of an idea that Kara spoke to in season 1. And then he shows up in season 2 in the most ill-fitting Superman suit you could have found for the man.
Not only that, but like he's the only Superman that gets away with stubble.
Yes.
He's way
Yeah.
better with stubble than he is clean cut. When he was clean cut on Supergirl, I was like, I don't know who that dude is. When he had a little bit of the stubble
that
in
stubble
Smallville,
works, man.
I'm like he nails it. I mean, I don't know how that physiology works. I mean, Jor-El had a beard, so that's a thing. But yeah, he when they were trying to make him, I feel like more cookie cutter. I think it came off that way. I think it came off as just like he's just like Superman in name. Just need Superman in name around, and that's what this
Yeah.
is. But the more they started to deal with this outside of the Arrowverse and just focus on this, it just got better and better. And his
Yeah.
chemistry with Bitsy, I think, got better. I think the kids got better. I think Jordan became a better actor throughout all of it. Um, I really found myself rooting for the family. I think of moments like when they're um all the arguments, the cancer stuff, the XK stuff, all that stuff, how the couple argues, but it's never disrespectful. They all eventually get to a
No.
point of reconciliation. The parents are mad at the kids, but there's never a punch up. Even when things get pretty, when Jordan shined those red eyes at Clark, and he's like, "You better never." Remember, he was like, "Boy, boy, you better never." But it was always all
Bend
love.
over my knee.
Yeah, it was always all love, and even the
Yeah.
most abrasive characters in this show end up changing who they are because of who Clark is, because of
And
who
you even get an
Superman is.
idea of how dark it could be when they do like what the family in the Bizarro Superman is like.
Yeah, yeah, and the cool thing about the Bizarro Superman juxtaposition is that it it doesn't start with a big event. Families don't break up because of big events. Relationships don't end because of big events. Slow little, neglect and malice and all the little things that you don't do to upkeep and respect and fill your relationships with love. That's why they fall apart. And Ark in this show was just always a beacon of perseverance and hope. And just watching him go through loss after loss. I mean, he starts with losing his mother in this. He finds a brother and then loses him.
Yeah.
Like there's all kinds of there's just so much in this series. I I've seen the Arrowverse shows when they get long in the tooth, and I'm glad this didn't become one of those things. It was wonky at parts. I won't say the series is 100% perfect, but as a blueprint,
What is, right?
yeah, as a blueprint for the next Superman thing, this thing comes pretty close, especially in modern times. This is what I think is the best modern live action version of this character in a sense of trying to nail down the full characterization. We've seen the character when tested, and we've seen the character when angry, and we've seen the character when he decides he doesn't want to do good anymore, and that's fine. I'm a bit tired of all that. Let the Homelanders do that. Let the Omni Man do that. Can Superman just be Superman for a little bit? And he got to be here. And even if I don't dig anything else that happens, even if Warner Brothers can't get right and they keep messing up this character, we have this little jewel, this little 4-season show that for a minute made you believe in it, made you believe in him, made you believe in hope, made you believe a man could fly. So thank you, Superman and Lois. You were a hell of a show, and we loved you dearly, and hopefully everyone enjoyed watching it. A Rob, there's anything you want to say at this funeral for Superman and Lois before we close the casket?
This is like you said. This was by far like the best full characterization of the character, hitting the home life, the superhero life, how he handles relationships across all aspects, how his responsibility, how his actions carry weight to them. Just it's not all about punching your way out of problems. Sometimes it goes deeper. Sometimes it's not just physical. It can be just emotional, spiritual, mental. And I really like how the show encapsulated all those problems that Superman, not just Superman, but Clark and his whole family had to face. And it really reflects just like many families, have to deal with cancer or like, you coming up with being youth nowadays is like stressful. There's so much
Yeah,
like, in your face and what's influencing you. But it's always good to show like that one spark of hope in your life, like to have that beacon of that North Star.
yeah,
Like you always stay grounded, and they really showed that. And I just man,
appreciate
the
it.
show. Not too many shows make me cry, but this one made that series finale. Whoo,
It was earned. It
you
was
got me.
it was definitely
It was
earned.
earned.
I'll also say Lois and Clark are goals. Like I want that. Give me that. Give me a whole plate of that. GT, we're about to close the casket on Superman and Lois. Is there anything you'd like to say?
I'd like to reflect on the irony that uh the what we understand as the Arrowverse was closed by what is ostensibly a CBS show
Yeah, that he was
that they
started on. Yeah,
that they adopted
yeah, yeah.
later on. Funny how that works out. I think that it's an interesting sort of like a microcosm of what the future of that sort of thing could have been, because it's the only one that really gets that short run.
Yeah.
Not only as an entire show but also as a season. We talked about it earlier, where the show is still trying to stretch itself with like subplots about Kyle and his family, and subplots about the Irons, and subplots
In many ways, manufactured drama for the sake of
manufactured drama for about the kids,
yeah,
and how much harder that would have been to stretch out for 23 episodes than 13.
yeah.
Um, and sometimes I start thinking like, geez, maybe this is what this is what the whole Arrowverse should have been toward the end. Maybe they should have made that
Could you imagine if everyone just had
that
fire ass
change.
4-season shows and then they just did new shows?
Well, not even 4-season shows, but like at
I
least
mean, I
maybe
don't
the
know. They could have
13
stopped
episodes.
Arrow at 4 days.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. But at least like, but I'm thinking maybe the 13th season, maybe the 13 episode runs were what's for the is what was
Definitely,
best for some of those shows.
definitely, because I think the Arrowverse shows were like 23 episodes, weren't they?
Yeah,
Yep.
and like it's a lot of Arrow just doing a lot of shit.
Yes. Yes. A lot of people getting
And
mad at Barry, even though he's the only man on the team.
yeah,
Leave my man Barry alone.
it's it was a hell of a time, because like they nailed it with everything going against this show. They nailed it.
Yeah.
They did.
Even in the
The
first
biggest
season when it was
are these not the biggest boots to fill in
yeah, they
superhero
are. and
lore?
and like it's not even just dealing with it's not even only dealing with the fact that it's heavy boots to fill. It's dealing with the fact that publicly, like, Superman is a failed character because of the failures of the last 3 movies,
Yeah.
right? And like I'm saying that as somebody who's still a Man of Steel fan.
Yeah.
Publicly, those movies just didn't really work. You know,
Right.
the Justice League didn't work. Man of Steel didn't work. Batman vs Superman didn't work. Superman Returns didn't work.
No.
So not only is it filling big shoes, but it's doing a lot of repairing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's trying to convince people that there's something to be, there's stories to be told, and there's heart to be won with Superman, and that is an incredibly large task. But I think they accomplished that. Uh, I think they accomplished doing something that a lot of people have had a lot of trouble to do, which is give the character of Lois Lane some agency and gravitas.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
know,
agree with that.
like remind you that her job as a reporter is just as important.
And dangerous.
Yeah,
Important and dangerous as his. So she has to be as
and
brave.
is a big part of Superman's life as the superhero, and not somebody getting in the way.
Yeah.
And then we had to do something new with the idea of the Superman family, which us as the comic readers were more initiated to, but most people were just like, "What do you mean he has 2 kids?"
That I think, to piggyback off what you were saying, I think that served to be their best tool. In a world where everyone thinks they know Superman, they don't know Super Dad. That was a fairly
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
sort of iteration of Superman, cemented in Rebirth, with John Kent and being young and having to tell him why he doesn't do certain things and why he does do certain things. I think by going the Super Dad method, and bringing him back to Smallville instead of keeping him in Metropolis, it forced them to tell stories that hadn't been told yet. We don't have many Superman as a dad stories in other media
Yeah.
besides comics. So they struck while the iron's hot. I think Super Dad is the way to go, regardless. Eventually, when with James Gunn's verse, to the point that in a world where you've exhausted everything with Batman, we're getting Bat Dad for the very first time, when Brave and the Bold's supposed to have Damian in it, because
Right.
they've went all the other ways with it. So now let's let this character grow up. Let this character evolve. Now no longer it's about saving the world, but his world, which is his family. I think
Yeah.
that's a tremendous bonus there.
I am happy to live in a situation now where I like to say something other than Christopher Reeve represents a benchmark.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that Superman and Lois, even for its short run, represents like this is what you do with it. This is it working.
I kind of felt that way about Spider-Verse, because
Okay.
like the Toby thing is always high. And so it's like,
Yeah.
that was good, but it wasn't the Toby thing. That was good, but it wasn't the Toby thing. And I saw Spider-Verse, I was
Right.
like, this. Can someone write that down? This is what you do. This is how you this is how you do this character, and in a modern way too. Yeah.
The worst part is that like the Toby thing is relatively recent, because we're still talking about the 2000s.
Yeah.
We've been chasing the Superman star since the 7th. Well, okay, yeah. Like, what was the movie? 1977?
I believe so, but you got to think, or even 76. It might be 76.
It might be 76. You might be right.
And so we're coming up on 50 years.
Decades of like trying to find that happy place, and it's always been things that reached out for it and fell short. Like the Adventures of Lois and Clark wasn't good enough.
And what they were selling for that wasn't really Superman. They were selling adult couple, drama. It just happens that one of them is a superhero.
Yeah. He occasionally he does Superman things.
Yes, 100%.
But
this is proof. But this is proof positive that the formula can work. This is proof positive that I never once took him as a squeaky clean goody two shoes in this. I never once was like, oh wow, Clark is a fucking punk. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I get the truth and justice thing, bro, but like, stand up. Like when he had to stand up, he stand up. When he had to raise his voice, he would raise his voice. And when he had to throw the hands, so that he would throw the hands. Shit on Lex Luthor.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And I even especially loved all the scenes where he's just like, you have to, like, when you always remember that he's Superman, but like here he is at home just being a stern father,
yeah,
but never an overbearing one.
and never one that doesn't question that he could be doing it wrong. My favorite
Yes.
moments of this show is him sitting at a table with Lois going, I don't know what to do. You understand? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know what to do next. I don't know where the villain is. I don't know how to, get my powers back. I don't know how to protect this family and going to his loved ones who and inspire him or give him the next step or the next plan to move forward. The Superman family, like you said again, like that's what needs to push this character. And I hope in James Gunn's Superman, that's why people are like, oh, there's way too many characters. No, show his relationships. That's what people need to see with Superman. His relationships, how he affects other people, how people act around him, how humans act around him. I think that's all an incredibly interesting angle take when you cover something in Superman lore. But yeah, it's good night, sweet prince. Thank you so much to Superman and Lois and everyone who was a part of the show. Terrific work all around. Again, if you've gotten this far and you've not seen the show, it's kind of weird, but go ahead, check it out. We definitely recommend it, as we recommend everything that's at comicbookclique.com. It's the one stop for everything Comic Book Clique, articles written by us, our merchandise, and every episode of the Major Issues podcast. Last week's episode was episode 365, which means that you can now actively listen to a single episode of the Major Issues podcast, a different episode every single day for a full calendar year. That's what we've done here as part of the Major Issues podcast. So consider looking back at our very, very, very large library, in which we, at one point, I believe we even did eulogize the Arrowverse when it
Yes.
went.
Yeah.
We
For
eulogized
nearly
the
3 hours.
yeah, we eulogized the Arrowverse. We've eulogized the Marvel Netflix universe. Every show that comes to a and we try to pay reverence to. So go back and look at some of those past episodes because we got a big year coming ahead. Reboots, sequels, world building, all coming to comic books and comic book media. So go check out all those past episodes and then get ready for these new ones as part of the Major Issues podcast. And the Major Issues podcast is available wherever podcasts are found. That's Podbean, Stitcher, the Apple Podcast app, TuneFind, YouTube, Spotify, and more. You can just Google the words Major Issues Podcast, and our link will come right up because we've been working hard to maintain that footprint on the interwebs. So yeah, check us out there. If you want to give us any money, we're down to take it. You can go to patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse. And for as little as 10 cents a day, $3 a month, you can help us keep our lights on here and afford the hardware and the software that we need to keep giving you guys content free of charge. And that content free of charge has been being bumped up exponentially. This used to just be the Major Issues podcast with some fun memes and some news. We are now doing major previews once a month where we go through the solicitations and give you guys our picks for what comics are going to rock that month. We have the Hall, which is the comic OG, every single Wednesday, or sorry, every single Thursday, showing you what haul of new comics that he's picked up. We have the You Should Be Reading series, which tries to bring in new readers into some storylines or characters that they may not be familiar with, explain why they're missing out, and try to get people into stores to pick up those books. We do all that stuff free of charge. So if you're able to give us any of your schmeckles, we would greatly appreciate it. Yeah, we would greatly appreciate it over here. If you want to buy some merchandise, all the merchandise at our TeePublic store is available at comicbookclique.com. Just hit that shop CBC button. Every piece of merchandise is designed by me. So not only do you get to rock an original design, but we get a kickback of everything that. So if it's money that you want to give us, like I said, consider being a patron or buying some merchandise. If you have no money to give, I understand it's trying times. Christmas just finished up. Valentine's Day is around the corner. People might be locked up until tax season. But if that's the case, then tell a friend to tell a friend about the podcast. Word of mouth is how we grow as Comic Book Clique. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And also rate and review us on iTunes. It's the quickest way for us to grow as podcasters, find out what you like and what you don't. It's how we get recommended to other people who are looking for our kind of content, is because you guys are rating us 5 stars. I believe we have some pretty good ratings across the board when it comes to iTunes, when it comes to Spotify. I'd be surprised if we're under 4. We're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I mean, we're a pretty good glass of champagne, in my opinion. So go ahead
Hey.
and check us out, because we're providing this content each and every week. Like I said, it's all of a labor of love. We're at facebook.com/comicbookclick, Instagram at comicbookclick, and you can use the hashtag comicbookclick to talk about the newest, latest, and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. We're at Major Issue CBC on Twitter. We're also at Major Issue CBC on Twitch. And as soon as I stop being terrified of being embarrassed in Marvel Rivals, I will play that. I will play that live. I just don't want a bunch of people yelling at me. I'm just trying to help the team. You understand? I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just trying to help, and I might be inebriated. So,
Listen, you're already better at it than I am.
yeah, we all gotta get on. We don't know nothing and try to figure out how all this works. But the
I
only
will
way,
shepherd you guys.
hey, and if we do that, the only way to find out if we did it is to be paying attention to all things Comic Book Click. So, like I said, follow us all over social media. A-Rob almost didn't have something to plug because they almost took down his fucking Marvel Snap this weekend.
Oh
Man, an innocent casualty in this bullshit politics.
As soon as I heard about it, I thought about you. I'm like, yo, he be killing it in Marvel Snap, and they just took it away from him for no reason. But if you wanted the people to find you, A-Rob,
It's back now. It's back though.
where could the people find you if they wanted to find you?
Oh my god, you guys can find me at A-Rob the Marvel Guys. My handle across all social media. Oh my god, just got over that Marvel Snap thing.
no.
He's always killing it at Marvel Snap, and he's getting even better at Marvel Rivals. So just check him out, A-Rob, across all social media.
If you want to inspire George to get good enough to get MVP in Marvel Rivals, if George gets 5 MVPs, we will get him a poster of Red Dress Lois.
Yeah, and I want her I want to position it in my room so that she's there when I open the door. You understand? You understand? That's it. It can't be that hard to do. The guy comicbookclick.com is popping, but it's not only popping because of us. We share that space with the guys over at Dirt Sheet Radio, the industry leaders in all things professional wrestling and pop culture. Those guys are constantly doing the Lord's work. Lord Controversial. Lord Steven Regal. They're always doing Lord Steven Regal's work. And doing post shows for every single thing that comes out for professional wrestling: Raw, SmackDown, NXT, TNA. I keep wanting to call it Impact.
Which
It's not
will
Impact
be the
anymore.
same show at this point.
Yeah. Post shows for PLEs, post shows for PPVs. I'm just gonna get tongue tied doing these acronyms. But what I always say is turn on the Dirt Sheet Radio. There's always something on. Somebody's always putting out some great content, doing some great coverage of current professional wrestling, and even going back and doing some rewinds and watching some retro professional wrestling and doing some takes on that. But they're also covering all kinds of things in pop culture, the salacious news, the rumors, the castings, and even award shows. So go ahead and check out the guys over at Dirt Sheet Radio. I believe Greg can testify that all's on the up and up there. They haven't been tested for PEDs. They do good job. They do a good job over there. So we're not questioning that stuff. Do you want the people to find you in any other place but Dirt Sheet Radio, GT?
I currently don't have any place where I'm actually active in social media. I am a dedicated lurker and no time caller.
That's fair. That's fair. But check out Dirt Sheet Radio. Their link and a link to their link tree, all the various places that you can find them, will be in the show notes for this episode and in every single episode, because we love the partnership that we have over with those guys over there. They're hitting WrestleMania season, which means things are going to get fired up. And as they're going through their WrestleMania season, we are getting ready for Captain America, for the Fantastic Four, and for Superman. So things are, a rising tide raises all ships. It's going to be a incredible next couple of months.
I'm also currently in a rewatch of Daredevil.
And you're currently in a rewatch of Daredevil. I think a lot of people are. I'm going to be reading Charles Soule's Daredevil for the very first time, which a lot of it is being used for this next upcoming season of Daredevil Born Again. The character Muse. Huh?
Have you read you have read the Zadarsky stuff,
I
right?
got very far. I think I'm halfway through the entire run, and then when the electric
It's
thing
long.
switches over, yeah, when the electric thing switched over, I got kind of confused for a little bit. But
I
it's
think a
good
lot of
stuff.
people fell off with the election.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff though. It's good stuff. Follow us there. Everything that you see that is coming out in comic books this year, we will cover. There will be a show on it. So make sure that you get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full. I've been to the future where we do become the latest and greatest thing to come to comic books, comic book media, but I can't tell you how we do it because it'll mess up the timeline. The next thing you know, we got another post credit scene of The Rock trying to put Henry Cavill in another
Oh, we're
franchise.
still on
He's
here.
gonna, yeah. Fast 11, which again, Fast 10 should have been fasten your seatbelts. But anyway, Fast 11.
He used to have so many of these, and now it's just targeting The Rock
It's just,
forever.
yeah, they used to be creative, but this is way easier to hit on Dwayne when he's out there drinking and driving on national television. It's way easier to get on the man. Stop pissing in bottles.
You had an easy one there that I thought you were going to take. 'Cause I was like, they used to be creative. It's like just like Dwayne.
Yeah. That's also true. That's
I
also true.
thought you were gonna take it.
But
I had to do it for you.
but here I am the final boss, and
Ah,
I
you son of
say that it's time to put an end to this beautiful, absolutely overflowing with hope episode of the Major Issues podcast. Don't forget to visit magicmind.com/cbookjan for 45% off their amazing sleep and focus shop bundle and exclusive offers for listeners of this very podcast, our podcast. Don't be giving that code out. You hear, you get the code, all right? That's what happens when you're part of the click. You get hooked up, 45% off, get it while supplies last. But my name is George Serrano, aka The Don.
I'm A-Rod the Marvel God.
I'm Gregory Thomas, aka GT Weworth.
And this has been our Superman and Lois season 4 final season recap and review. And remember, whether you're a man of steel, a titan of industry, a superboy, a small town gal, whether rich or poor, small or tall, or choose to be bald as a style choice, remember that we are the click. Remember, it's never a style choice for me. And always remember that you, yes, you, are worthy.
Recording stopped.
How to get us off Facebook. Bye, Facebook.